So I guess I finally figured out what Romano was talking about like 100 episodes ago. No, hell yeah, 150 now. It was one of the clip shows I wasn't there, and it was obviously about me and googly eyes probably. And Romano's talking about how Mike was talking about his first episode too, and it's like I don't know like what kind of bullshit Ian's saying half the time. Josh is like, you can't freaking tell, and like I got to like live that moment through fresh perspective recently. So I had a work call, and my boss was talking about, the job. There's like 5 or 6 of us from our department in there. And he's like, they don't teach this specific job in college. He's, we all got different degrees and stuff. He said something like, I'm accounting. He's like, Ian, for example, is philosophy. And he's like, no, what are you really, Ian? And I just go, Middle Eastern history with a focus in early Middle Ages. And he's like, what, really? So is everyone else. I'm like, no, I got a business degree. And they're all like, wait, what? You said that so stone-faced we couldn't tell. I was like, oh shit, I did my podcast thing. Did it work?
You have a shtick. Here we are. Hello. Yeah. Hey, welcome to another episode of Braggart and Super Friends. This is our big 250th episode. I am your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is the voice of the South Hills and previously known as Mr. Movie Slut, Josh Zorich.
Well, I'm only previously? Did someone usurp my title?
I didn't think you wanted to be known as that anymore, so we've shelved that, I thought, for the time being. Well, you want to take up the mantle? It's all yours.
I have some work to do then.
Next up, he lost his podcast virginity by talking about HUT consent laws. Mike Bradley.
That's a fact. I can't dispute that, and it's not negative. It's not. All right, good. I like that intros are back.
I'm trying.
I wasn't sure I was going to feel about it, but I'm all right with it so far.
And last up, we got from Googly Eyes to White Spider Liquid, most likely the reason all of you are here to listen, Leroy the Dream Killer, Ian Leidick.
Last episode, it was pointed out for the first time in 12 appearances that I did not compare the Teenage Mutant Turtles movie franchise to the movie being discussed in a negative light. If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I am so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith, as there's a deep drive into deep left field by Castellanos, so that'll be a home run, and that makes it a 4-0 ball game!
So
did we bring the Ian translator for today?
No one was on Twitter here that day, so you guys will never know what that's all about.
All right, so this is it. This is 250. We are still doing this thing. First and foremost, so thank you for everyone listening, whether you're listening in the traditional podcast format or if you're watching on Twitch Live. Seriously, thank you for giving us some of your time for this little hobby of ours. This is one of those numbers I don't think I ever really thought we'd hit. 250 seems like such a large margin. It always kind of seemed too far, and yet here we are. We are at 250. This iteration of the show has existed for probably, I want to say 6 years, going on 6 years now.
Coming up on our 7th anniversary.
Is it 7? Oh, Jesus, yeah, 200, yeah. It was because of 2015, yeah, so I can't math. 2022 is 7. Yes, you are correct. So even longer than I thought about, really. Holy shit. Yeah, it's insane when I stop to think about it. It's nuts. So of course, I mean, I couldn't do it without these guys too. So I got to thank you guys for giving up, your time every so often, every week, every other week to just shoot the shit with me. Because let's face it, none of us are getting paid for this. So we're doing all of this out of the goodness of our heart. And I very much appreciate it.
I mean, I did that one time.
Did you? Oh, you did. Yeah. You actually you're the only one to make money off this podcast.
Hashtag White Spider Liquid.
Yeah. White Spider Liquid. I bought a shirt. That's how he made money.
You bought multiple shirts.
I did. One was an accident, and then he made the White Spider Liquid shirt, and I had to buy that. And the other one, I mean,
it's Vin Diesel.
Yeah, it was funny.
All right.
I'm going to do it later tonight.
So enough with all the mushy stuff. So the reason you are here, we're talking about our favorite movies of the last 2 years. So if you're new here, I'll set this up for you just so we have an idea of what we're doing. Each of us has made a list of our top 10 favorite movies over the last 2 years. So we usually do it yearly. We did not do one for 2020 because not much came out that year. So since most of that stuff got delayed into 2021, we're allowing stuff that released in 2020 to be fair game for this list. So we have picked our order beforehand. We have not compared lists, which is part of the fun for doing this. None of us know what the other people have picked. We start with everyone's number 10. We've picked an order beforehand, so it's going to go me, Mike, Ian, and Josh. That'll be the order. We'll do 10, we'll go to 9, and then so on up to number 1. We wrap up with a few categories like honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. We'll hit a few surprises and a few disappointments. I do make it a point to not include any like worst movie lists. So, everyone has different tastes. They like different stuff. What might be a bad movie for one person isn't another person's favorite movie. So just because
Captain America 1996.
Yeah, exactly. 1990. It wasn't 19.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. Came out 80.
So, just because we didn't like something doesn't mean you won't like something. So our disappointment list is more about movies that didn't really live up to our expectations, not necessarily bad movies. I also want to stress, too, that our discussion for all of these movies will be spoiler-free. So that goes double for you, chat. Nobody spoiled anything. We would like this show to be...
Thinks he can control chat.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. This is something we try to do as far as, it's a show that I always viewed it as something that someone can come to get recommendations on movies to watch. So because of that, we're not here to spoil the entire movie for someone who hasn't seen it. So please be mindful of that if you are talking in chat about these movies. Please, please, please do not spoil it for someone else. Also, what I like to do for these episodes too, and people on Twitch will be able to see this in real time as we're going, is I try to organize these lists that everyone gives us and pull in the Rotten Tomatoes ratings for the movies as we talk about them. And then we see who has the best average rating for their list based on that score. I know it's not the best rating to use, but it's easy enough to find, and it adds a little something fun for the show. And then while we're doing this, actually, people in chat, if you want to play along with us, feel free to give us your top 10 movies in chat. If you want to try to keep pace with us, that would be the best way to go. So when we're on number 10, if you want to give us your number 10, once we get to 9, give us your number 9. We're going to try to have someone behind the scenes maybe put that in the list, and we will try to get back to you with your average Rotten Tomato rating at the end of the show. We'll see how this goes, if we can do all this on the fly. I've continually joked that this episode will be 4 hours long, but episodes that we usually do with these lists are pretty long anyway, so this could be a very, very real possibility. So, with that in mind, we're going to kick off the lists. So, as I said, I think I'm going first this time. Normally I go last, but they have volunteered me to go first. So, my number 10, which I got to make sure I can update the spreadsheet as we're going. So we're going to scroll over to me. My number 10. So my number 10, I have The Suicide Squad. So
Shit list.
What's that?
Shit list.
Come on.
It's already number 10, and you already fucked the whole thing up. I can't just click end stream. Let's go pack it home. You ruined it.
What's the matter?
How are you ranking one of the greatest masterpieces of superhero genre number 10?
We'll see where it makes on your list. We'll see. For me, it was number 10. I really like this movie. I thought it was, coming off of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, it was different. It was enough of a departure, and hell, the first 5 minutes are really kind of set the stage for this movie and what you're going to expect. And James Gunn knows how to handle ensemble casts and bigger movies. I wanted to rate it higher, I guess, but that's just kind of where it fell for me. I enjoyed it.
I also wanted you to that.
I have not seen Peacemaker yet, for anyone that's curious. It's on my back burner to see where that character goes following this movie. But yeah, that's where I'm at. It came in at number 10. I was debating if it was going to make the list at all, but I did bring it to number 10.
I just rewatched this actually yesterday. This is one that, I'm going to be very honest, it was rewatched yesterday because the last 2 episodes of Peacemaker were so much fucking fun. I wanted to watch it again. I was like, I want to watch, because seriously, guys, if you're not watching Peacemaker, check the show out. It's awesome.
I've heard good
you
things.
Need to get in there.
I got to get there sooner rather than later.
James Gunn is having so much fun with this show. But we're here to talk about Suicide Squad, the movie, not the show. Got me to watch it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was impressed that Brian managed to stomach through it, and I'm actually impressed that it makes it here on his list.
There were some parts. I'll be honest. There were some parts.
There's some that get you with the gore, but that, like, to me, I love the comedic gore that James Gunn loves to throw in to the movie. It works. Like you said, from the start of the movie, setting the tone all the way throughout, the different gags are great. I was not coming out of the movie expecting to see Peacemaker end up with a show. That was kind of a surprise to have be a result of that movie, but I really enjoyed it. It was good, zany fun. It was well done.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the biggest strengths it had, one of the biggest wins that it achieved was, what we had been talking about for 5 years between the release of those two movies was, okay, what is this? Reboot, requel, sequel, right? Like, what the hell is this going to be? And he, like, kind of addresses some of that quickly and establishes the circumstances he wants without really ignoring what, he took, like, the important stuff that you needed to know, addressed it, and moved forward. But effectively, like, it's his own movie, and, to Mike's point, the maybe not since, like, Slither, I would say, has he had to really, like, had a reason to play with that over the top comedic violence in that way. Like, it definitely doesn't go as far as it would in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's all implied and whatnot, and it's PG-13 Disney version, but sort of like let loose and like let off the leash. He's just really good at it. He's proven he's good at ensemble movies, multi-character balancing, combining drama with comedy with action. I think it hit well. Yeah, it definitely exceeded expectations for me.
Ian, what do you think? You disagree?
Well,
you think this should be higher?
That's one point. Another point is I think Will Smith said it best when he said, "What is this? Some kind of quasi sequel reboot?" Gunn continued to show. That's a play on him saying, "What is this? Some kind of Suicide
I got that.
Squad?" Okay, keep up with me. I'm levels. Gunn continued to show his strength in blending film and sound to create a fun romp through South America. He once again also showed that you can take a diverse cast of characters and create a fun romp of destruction and mayhem throughout the solar system or in one specific country. It was a lot of fun. I was really excited to see them make a DC movie that didn't suck dick. And here we are.
Fair enough. Anything else to add for Suicide Squad? We'll go to Mike's number 10. All right, Mike, you're up. Number 10.
I don't think you could really sum it up better than making a DC movie that doesn't suck. Suicide Squad.
Put that on the poster.
Well done. Shifting gears in tone from that completely, we're going to go over to a Disney movie. And my number 10 is Raya and the Last Dragon. This was directed by Don Hall. If you don't know who that is, that's Big Hero 6 and Moana's director. And starring Kelly Marie Tran, Awkwafina, Gemma Chan, Isaac Wong, Benedict Wong were the stars in this movie. And, this was, I guess, the kind of movie that felt good to see Disney making. It's a movie that, this world that's broken into these different, I guess, tribes or not cults, they're not cults, groups that are at each other's throats over essentially nothing at all, but bringing them back together through trust. And I don't know, it was a fun journey, I guess, for Disney to make. And it introduced me to, honestly, I can't think of the last time I liked a character in a Disney movie, an original Disney movie, as much as I liked Little Noi. She was hilarious. If you guys don't recall, or if you haven't seen it, she's kind of like a little ninja baby that steals shit, and she's hilarious. She's just a little ninja criminal baby with it's wonderful. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty movie. It looked really good, and yeah, without spoiling a whole lot about what happens, you should watch it. It's a good, I guess, tale of caution for kind of how the world is in a lot of ways.
So I'll be honest, I tried to watch this movie. I couldn't get through Aquafina's voice for some reason.
Really?
It distracted me. I couldn't get behind it. I started to get annoyed and stopped halfway through. However, like having her in Shang-Chi and stuff like that, I was fine with her there. So I don't know if it's like animated form or like if that's the difference for me or if it was just that character she was playing. I don't know. It kept pulling me out of it and I got distracted. I have every intention to try to go back and watch it, but I did not finish the movie.
I felt like her voice fit the zaniness of the character. Like, I felt like the character was meant to be awkward enough that it worked.
Yeah. So maybe I just got to give it another chance, but I did not finish it.
This
Is well worth finishing.
Okay.
I have a whole category of movies as I was doing my review and putting my list together that I put in the, like, I need to definitely rewatch them before I can make any sort of judgment. So, like, the stuff in that group isn't going to appear anywhere on my other stuff. This was in it. Like, I remember enjoying it a lot, but not really being able to recall any strong feelings about it one way or the other, and I didn't have time to get around to it. I do remember it being a good time. One of the most interesting things I actually thought was afterward, on Disney Plus at least, like they have like the DVD extras right there on the streaming service, and like watching like the making of it. They basically made 98% of the movie, like the actual production, in 2020 during COVID. And I think it came out like early summer 2021. So they did like all the logistics to figure out how to put like sound recording booths in the major voice actors' homes for the most part. And you had all the animators and, you know, everybody working from home and the coordination. Definitely a product of the time, definitely a snapshot of our era right now. But that actually helped me, I think, appreciate what had gone into it a lot more. So if you ever do look it up, be sure to watch the behind the scenes stuff.
Ian, did you see that one? No.
So, for the first and not last time tonight, this is not one of the 14 movies I saw that were released in the year 2020 or 2021.
Ian is basically here against his will. I kind of forced him just to be on for the hell of it.
It's animated. It might fall in his wheelhouse. You know.
I mean, dragons, animation. We're getting there. We got to be getting closer.
Anything else to add for Rhea? Or we'll move on to Ian's number 10. Nothing? All right. Ian, what's your number 10?
Number 10! Fate Grand Order Divine Realm of the Round Table Camelot Wandering Agatarium. This is the directorial debut of Kazuto Aira, spent most of their career in key animation. The year 1273, Jerusalem. 3 major powers wage war on each other in this wasteland. The Knights of the Round Table come together to protect the holy city and their Lion King. With this whole kingdom surrounded, Ozymandias, the Sun King, quietly plots against the tyranny of this bizarre realm. The Mountain People, protectors of those who were stripped of land, await their chance at rebellion. In order to fulfill his mission, Bedivere heads for the holy city where the Lion King rules. This is where he meets humanity's final master, Ritsuki Fujimaru, who has come to Jerusalem accompanied by his demi-servant Mash Creelite. This is the latest film in the Fate Grand Order sub-series of Fate Stay Night universe films, which are all, of course, in the Nowiverse. This is based on a mobile game. This is the actual story pulled from the mobile game turned into a set of 3 films featuring characters throughout history who you summon as servants. One of them is the Lion King, aka
Simba.
King Arthur,
Oh.
who is known as, in this, Artoria Pendragon, and she is King Arthur. She's gender-bent King Arthur. And in this inception of it, this is a King Arthur that gave up Excalibur and used the Holy Lance instead and has become the Lion King and now rules the Holy City. This was masterfully animated. It had great voice acting. It just all blended together in a serene action sense. And me and some friends have watched a lot of the different Fate series, and I was really excited to see this one come out from a game I had recently played at the time. And it was a great first entry into this new part of the franchise, and I'm really excited for it. And actually, the character of Artoria Pendragon has been played by the same lady voice acted since the original game released in 2006. 15 years.
What is the name of the game?
Fate Stay Night.
What was the name
It's
of
a
the
visual
movie? Because
novel.
I feel like you rattled off a lot of stuff, and I don't know if I got that
Fate,
title.
Grand, Order, Divine, Realm of the Round Table,
I
Camelot,
still lost it. Just,
Wandering, Aka, Terrium.
yeah, you're gonna have to send that to me so I can put it in the spreadsheet.
That
That
sounds
not
like the
on Rotten
is-
Tomatoes.
that sounds like the commands
lot.
given to the Winter Soldier to wake him up.
A little bit, yeah. That's. But all right.
It's
Anybody
not-
else see
this
this
is
one?
Yeah, this is the point where we all gloss over when Ian's talking. We're like, no, we haven't seen that one. Can't really chime
That's
in.
why my
there.
top.
Had he sent me his list ahead of time, I probably would have watched them just so we could bounce ideas. But
This is why my explanations for movies are probably longer than yours guys's.
You really got to
Yeah,
sell
no,
it
that
because
is
we
fair.
have no
Yeah,
idea
that's
what you're
fair.
talking about. Ian, I know when I talked to you about trying to get Rotten Tomatoes ratings and stuff like that, that some of your stuff was not going to end up on Rotten Tomatoes. Is this one
Yeah.
of the ones that is not on there?
Correct.
Okay.
That means 100, 100.
That means no score
'Cause-
right now.
I'm the critic. That's 100%. I'm also the audience. 100%.
Well,
Okay.
I am, yes, unfortunately as well, very unfamiliar, but I am happy that you found something that you enjoyed so much.
Made his
So
list.
it
it
so it's
sounds
gotta
interesting.
count
Honestly,
for
I'll
something.
probably
Thank you.
look for it, check it out. Why not?
Yeah, sadly, I got nothing to add for this one because I don't know this one.
So did you say that like this was going to be the first of a new series of things coming?
Yes, it's the first of a trilogy telling the story of this divine realm of the Round Table.
Ah,
Do the
okay.
other two appear on your list, or are they not released yet?
Not released yet.
Okay.
That would have been fun if my first 3 movies were all the same franchise.
You know, it's
And I
been
just get
2
to say that
years.
title.
That's enough time to get 3 things out. Like that's, you know.
And I just keep saying that title again and again. But like the last words changed. And you increasingly start to wonder, is this even a real thing?
Is he making it up? I mean, that's a question we ask all the time when you're on. So, all right, Josh, you're number 10.
Okay, I definitely have maybe 2 on here, but definitely this one, I will freely admit, is not better than many of the movies that didn't make my cut at all. However, it mentally and sort of emotionally holds a special place, again, because of like the era of COVID. The first time we got back to a movie experience whatsoever after mid-March of 2020 was going to the drive-in in like August of that year. And we saw The Lodge, a kind of horror thriller-ish psychological flick, coupled with a movie that really didn't go with it at all. But hey, you know, what the hell else was out at the time? They had to try to put things together. It's fine. But what it was coupled with is my number 10, which made the list, which is Palm Springs.
I don't know if I know that one either.
It's
a good
Andy Samberg starring Groundhog Day-esque kind of story.
Oh, that does sound familiar. Maybe you did tell me about this before.
I
And
mean,
it's
without
Kristen Milioti or whatever her
Yes.
name is from How I Met Your Mother, the mother.
yes,
Oh,
I believe
okay.
so. And yeah, like the actress who's like the lead opposite him. If you've watched the Netflix specials, I think they're just called like Death to 2020 and Death to 2021.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
one of the actresses like playing satirical roles of real world people and whatnot. I mean, the basic premise is he is a guest at a resort and one day starts waking up and repeating the same day. That's it. And,
Okay.
and like other things, other context and other things happening of course. But it was honestly quite enjoyable at the time. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, there's something about the place that it held, and just kind of remembering, like we had this almost like hiccup of time in that first summer well before vaccination availability. Anything else, we're like, maybe we can do this for a month, and then for another 6 months after that, no, actually we can't. And so there was just that little hiccup in there that we, tried to breathe some fresh air, and enjoyed it enough that it has stuck with me since then. I haven't got to rewatch it since that time, but I would definitely recommend it. Go look for it. It's a good time. It's not too heavy. It's a quick, like, hour and a half type of thing. But it's worth it.
Mike, you said you watched this one? You've seen this one?
I did. I believe this was one of the ones. It may have been day and date with Hulu.
Okay.
Because I remember watching this on Hulu and being like, oh, I heard about this, but why is it on Hulu? And it was, that 2020 when we were figuring out how movies were going to be released. It was kind of weird. But yeah, I remember seeing it, and I loved this movie. This was tons of fun. I mean, think about all the stupid shit that you would expect Andy Samberg to get into in a Groundhog Day scenario. You get that, but it also did a lot to touch on mental health issues that people kind of struggle with in some ways.
Okay.
Which I wasn't expecting out of it. You know what I mean? But it used that opportunity of what he was going through for a lot of, like, self-reflection in a much more genuine way, I think, than Groundhog Day itself actually did. Groundhog Day itself had that. It's still great, but it had that very vanilla reflection on yourself that you got from movies during that time. And this one did a lot better job of it. This was in consideration to actually make my list. It didn't make it, but it was in consideration. This was very, very good, very underrated, very underseen, I guess, underpromoted, for how good it was.
Okay. So it didn't make honorable mentions either. Didn't make the list at all.
No, it was there, but it was like, how many honorable mentions am I going to do?
Yeah, fair. Ian, I'm assuming this is one you haven't seen or heard of.
I think this movie was a farce. I don't understand why it was made. I didn't enjoy Andy Samberg. I didn't see it.
All right, so we'll swing back around to me for number 9. My number 9. My number 9 is one that I wasn't sure was going to make my list, and then the more I was putting movies on my list, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that deserves to be on there. I think it surprised me more or less basically because the movie existed, and that's Zack Snyder's Justice League at number 9.
Does this count?
Crime.
I counted it. It was making. I seen it make a lot of people's lists for 20.
Okay. I would say you make the rules, so you get to decide if it counts. So
I mean, Justice League was released earlier, but Zack Snyder's Justice League was released. Shit, right. Was it 2020 or 2021? I don't remember what year it came out. 21. Okay.
Yeah, it was last March.
Yeah, it came out last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't even consider this one as on my list because I wasn't sure if it counted. So
okay. Yes, I'm putting it on there. Justice League had its problems. Warner Brothers, DC have their problems. It's stuff that they're still probably working on. I still don't think they figured out what they need to do with these movies or where they're going with any of them. And had they made Justice League the way Zack Snyder wanted, maybe that would have gave them a clearer direction on where these movies and this franchise and the DCEU and all that stuff was going to go. The production behind the Justice League we got that was theatrical is so, some of the behind the scenes stuff is just weird to read about and troubling, and a movie of that size that gets that much problems, of course it's not going to be great. So the fact that this became an internet rumor that, hey, Zack Snyder has enough to make his own movie, they shot a lot of this stuff that wouldn't involve a lot to get his version out and release it. I really thought it was an internet pipe dream, and I've said that for years. I didn't think this thing existed. And then it finally became, hey, this is going to happen. HBO is going to do it. They're going to put it on HBO Max to try to sell you to the service. That was enough to get me. I fucking signed up for HBO Max to watch this damn movie. All fucking 4 hours of it, or however many chapters there were, or whatever. I was still surprised that it was cohesive as it was. I didn't get bored, I don't feel like, for 4 hours. I even went back and watched the original Justice League just to see what the differences were, what some of the comparisons were, if I liked the other one better. I still think Zack Snyder's Justice League is the superior version of that movie. I don't think Joss Whedon's Justice League is as terrible, I think, as people think. I think there are still some redeeming stuff there, but yeah, Snyder's Justice League definitely turned the corner. I think it's a lot better. It made me want to see more of what this guy would do. I don't know if we're actually going to get it. I think the whole, like, the Snyderverse movement online is, now that's another internet pipe dream that I don't think we're going to get. I think Warner Brothers made their peace with this. They gave Zack the movie he should have made, and that's the end of it. But if they make more, I will definitely check it out. But I think this is where Snyder's DC movies end, and I think it's a good way to go. I think it was very good.
This was in my quasi short list to think about, and I admittedly found that I was having maybe one or two more comic book movies making my cut than I didn't want the entire thing to be jammed with it.
Right.
And to be honest, like, part of that is the last 2 years. What are the things that, like, for people interested in the things that we mainly talk about, what brought us a lot of joy? Finally getting back to some of these big, huge blockbuster chapter things. So it made sense what was dominating some of my selections.
Yeah.
When it came down to Justice League, I thought, I should watch it again before I make a decision. But it was all the things that you said. So it got bumped away. But it was definitely in consideration of, like, the initial 25 that I was, jumbling around.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Ian, I'm assuming this made your list somewhere. You don't have to say where, but
I'll read my comments. The master himself, the Sin God, delivers his most epic work to date, single-handedly saving the DCCU with a master stroke in directing. Every single thing from the fake cut has been improved upon, delivering us a cinematic titan. One has to wonder why studios continued to make superhero films when the final entry in great superhero films has already been released.
Mic drop.
Why?
fair.
Why do they bother?
Mike, what did you think of Snyder's Justice League?
I mean, I don't have as bold of thoughts on it as what we just heard.
Not many people do.
I would have pegged Ian to be more along the type of, like, you have to watch the, like, Snyder cut of the Snyder cut that is black and white and twice as long as the actual Snyder cut. It's only rumored to exist at this point. We don't know for sure yet. But it might be out there. But there is the black and white cut that you can watch, and that's the only real cut that matters.
So you're not a purist and not really a fan of it at all. Like,
I
I'm a poser.
I expected
if I
what we would hear from Zack Snyder's close personal friend. That's not my own personal take on it.
Yeah, Ian, there's no quote from Zack on the movie or anything like that. Like,
did he give you
can
anything
tell
to
him where
pass
it placed
along
on
to
your
the
list?
audience?
So, as we all know, Zack Snyder, my close personal friend, when I asked for comment, I got a response that said, "Please stop contacting this number."
New phone, who dis?
Yeah.
Didn't know how to take that. Because as we all know, we worked on a musical rock opera together.
Well, right. It's probably one of those things. He's a busy guy. He has assistants and stuff that do that for him. And they make mistakes all the time. Don't take it personally.
Just keep trying.
They probably had you filed in the same log as Joss Whedon, where it's
An accident. Yeah.
I don't like where you're going with this.
no, I'm saying, like, accidentally. You got accidentally put into that file.
Where you're going with this.
I'm not saying they did it on purpose. I'm saying accidentally.
They were trying to get J. They selected the
H-I-J,
I as well.
It was the dot above the I and J. It got them.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, no, it happens.
All right, anything else for Justice League?
I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Had I considered it, it actually might have made my list, but I'm not adjusting my list now. I've got notes and stuff.
We've gone too far.
Yeah, I've gone too far, so.
All right, Mike, so let's move on to your number 9.
My number 9, and you'll start to see a trend maybe starting now for a short period of my list, but it is also HBO Max brought it to us earlier this year. Mortal Kombat. I fucking love this movie. What they did with it, coming off of, I guess, the last Mortal Kombat movie that was made was Annihilation, which was just so bad. Like, the original 95 Mortal Kombat was pretty good. That was fun. It was decent. For the time, they didn't have the best, CGI back then to work with. But come to this story, we finally get a focus on Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which for many fans of the franchise, that's the story. Liu Kang is cool, Kung Lao's cool and all that, but really the Sub-Zero and Scorpion story is one of the most fleshed out video game rivalries there's ever been. Maybe the most fleshed out that has ever existed. And we start to get a good bit of that here. It's well done. Everything looks cool. The action is fun. It's good to follow. It's well choreographed, I guess. The action sequences, you know, it's gory, it's brutal, and it's funny. You know, we're not supposed to spoil anything, but there's one part of it that references back to the video games that just had me cracking up, and I still, every time I'd see the scene, I'd laugh my ass off now. Yeah, I want them to make more of these. There needs to be several sequels.
I think they just greenlit number 2, right? 2 is happening.
That was very recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, within the last couple of days.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll pass it to you guys, because there's, I mean, without spoiling anything, you need to watch this. It's out there on HBO Max, guys. It's...
Brian, did you ever watch this yet?
I did get through this one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Like Mike said, it is gory. So there's still parts that, like, you know, for me, but, I think maybe just because there's certain gore that I guess I can get around. Some of it, like, that plays comedically, I can usually deal with. Some of the ones that, like this, I think I'm maybe just a little bit more desensitized to it because I kind of expect it for the video game so it's a little bit more maybe like cartoony violence. I don't know, but
well, it's stuff you've seen before in the games.
Right. So it all kind of, I guess just works for me. It wasn't too bad, but yeah, I got through it. I thought it was good. It was definitely better maybe than I expected. I think I went in with a low bar just because I didn't know how this was gonna go. But I'm with Mike. I want to see more. I think they did a good enough job that I think they deserve to tell more stories like this in this kind of tone and flesh out some of the lore. Because I mean, there was some stuff. You know, of course, now it's been a while since I watched it, so I'm struggling to think what kind of the hang-ups for me were. I don't remember if it was some of the story or the lore or some of the plot holes or something that was holding it back for me. But I feel like I viewed it more like a mediocre type of score for me. But it's still good. I did still enjoy it.
So, I mean, there is the rumors that the sequel that is going to happen is The Rock as Shao Kahn. You know, he was just talking about this thing, you know, he's doing. And now they announced the sequel's, I don't know. Could be it.
He talked about being involved with a video game, and you're thinking it's Mortal Kombat?
I don't know. Rock as Shao Kahn would be pretty cool.
I mean, I'm not saying no, but... Ian, did you see this one? What did you think?
I was on the review of this podcast for this episode, for this movie, so I think you know the answer. They made a movie that was not only very fun but good. Who knew you could do that with a video game? It treated the source material with the right amount of seriousness to prevent eye rolls and let the action speak for itself. An exciting entry in the beginning of a new series of film. It was really good. A lot of great deaths and gory finishers. And it kept that lighthearted humor that we all know and love from Mortal Kombat post NES.
Those are called fatalities.
No, I think they're called finishers.
I think they say finish him. And then it's a fatality.
Yeah. That's a finisher. Finish him.
Gender.
Finisher.
Right, but then it's a fatality.
No, you finished them.
All right.
Josh, what did you think?
I am glad that others got more joy out of this than I did. It's not that it wasn't entertaining as a whole product that was given to us. I was really let down by I don't know if it's like the pacing of the story, but like I felt like what we got could have been half the movie, and then there could have been another half of story given to us there. Yeah. I guess what was presented, the cinematography, the art design, production, the acting, the approach to it, I appreciated. All good there. Just felt it could have been better. So if there's sequels coming, hopefully for my tastes, there's some improvements.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with a movie like Mortal Kombat and I guess another movie coming up soon on my list. I'm looking at them a little bit differently in terms of like I'm trying to look at what I enjoyed the most as opposed to what I feel like was a cinematic achievement or triumph in most of my list. But I'm also trying to consider those things as well, which is, I guess, why these things that I'll probably watch more than a lot of the movies at the top of my list.
Just the rewatchable stuff.
Right. Like this end of my list is much more rewatchable.
Yeah.
I think. Just to, defend that horrible score I'm about to have. Because it's going to add up pretty quick.
Oh, you looked at the stream and saw what the Rotten Tomatoes rating was.
Oh, I don't give a shit what Rotten Tomatoes critics say. I care about the audience score only. But yeah.
All right, so where are we at? So we're on Ian's number 9.
My number 9 is The Suicide Squad. What is this? Some kind of quasi-sequel reboot?
So it wasn't that much higher than mine.
But on my list, it's it's in the correct place. On your list, it's in the wrong place.
And he's very upset by
that
one slot difference.
No, again, on my list, it's in the correct place. On Brian's list, it probably ranks higher than movies at its top. That's the issue.
Okay.
So for his standards, it's measured incorrectly.
Correct. If you want to hear more of my thoughts about this, rewind, 20 minutes.
That's fair.
This is live, folks. It's how it works.
Yeah. We did kind of cover it already. So is there anything else we want to talk about for Suicide Squad? Anything to add since we talked about it before? Nope.
Nothing else to add. I will share our 5th typical compadre, Andy, is in the chat with us now. And he's asking when are we going to have his picks shared.
Yeah, I figured I'd go through. He did send. Andy wasn't here. Hello, Andy. He's in the chat. Andy is usually our 5th member for the podcast. He is away this weekend, so he couldn't make our 250th. He did give me a list. I was going to go through it at the end once we refresh ours, which I usually forget to do. So I got to remember to go back through once the list is done. Rattle them all down. I will go through Andy's at that point. Yes.
Wait, so you have to say the number 10 I did? You have to say that whole title without messing up?
Wait till you hear what the other titles are going to be, too.
Yes. So I'm sure I'm going to butcher half of the names that you're throwing in there, Ian. All right, Josh, you're number 9.
This is one that I just so a little backstory as we scheduled the date for this and knew when we were going to aim for. I looked through some resources that we've been sharing to look at releases of the last 2 years. I made a list of, I shit you not, maybe 35 things that I still hadn't seen. And up until last night, I got through 28 of them in the last maybe 3.5 weeks. I've been
dedicated.
I've been using my time horribly, but also it's January in Pittsburgh, so what the hell else am I doing? And this was one of them that I had been looking forward to. It was a recent release, and thank God it just made DVD availability at Redbox last Tuesday, and we went and picked it up that day. So my number 9, which I really enjoyed, granted there might be some recency bias in here, but I still think it holds up, and it will for a while. Last Night in Soho by Edgar Wright.
This is one I'm ashamed I haven't seen yet, and I have every intention to get to at some point. I just have not got there yet.
So I'm thinking, Mike, you saw this, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. It's on my list.
Oh, okay. I thought you had said you got there, but I couldn't remember. So I think you and I had maybe talked about this somewhere about. So Brian, you had hedged about this, months in advance as trailers were released and whatnot. You weren't sure what kind of story it was going to be and everything. And so after seeing it, I think Mike might have mentioned something like this after he got there first, but I'd say there's maybe a 5 to 7 minute clip of things that you might be doing waffle fingers, given your predilection. But other than that, I think the story was pretty cool, kind of original. The production design is gorgeous. The acting is really good. I think I mean, it's Anna Taylor-Joy, who in the last couple of years, I think has, burst onto a lot of people's radars. Queen's Gambit, Split, and Glass, to name a few, and then there was others. I was expecting her to be like the big focal point of this, and she's the one that you are caring about the most and whatnot. To my surprise, it's her counterpart. Like, if you've seen any of the trailers, you kind of get the gist of what's happening here. It's like temporal displacement and whatnot. So it's her counterpart, who's an actress named Thomasin, I'm going to say maybe Mackenzie, who has also been in a couple of things. But she actually is the one who very much impressed me in this. I thought it was really, really cool.
She's the one that was in Jojo Rabbit, right? Wasn't she in Jojo Rabbit? Yeah.
Yes. And she was also in something else, which was one of my catch-up movies that I saw, which was last year's M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old. Yeah, she's in that too. Maybe because I didn't have as much of a background on her and exposure yet. I didn't have as much of a benchmark, but I was really impressed by her. There's not a whole lot else I think I can really, unfortunately, go into without hitting like spoilers. It's one of those movies where like the details, even the most minor ones, are what make it special and kind of cool. So not a whole lot I can go on from there. But if you're a fan of Edgar Wright whatsoever, this is definitely different for him. I don't really think he's done something like this before, I would think, but check it out. It's really good.
And I would say, Thomasin Mackenzie plays the central character in the film. That's why we're saying, like, she's the highlight here, because she does play the main character. And I really hadn't seen her in anything except Jojo Rabbit before this. So being only the second time seeing her in a movie, very impressive. She was extremely good. I think the thing that can't be understated is how much fun Edgar Wright has making this movie. He got to explore a lot of visual ideas that he had as a director in this film that he would not get to do with other movies. I think I talked about it off podcast, off air, whatever you want to call it, before. It's not really a spoiler. He does a lot of work with mirrors in this movie. There's a lot of amazing shots that are done through the work that he put in to visualize these. It's trippy. It's a head trip, and it's engaging, and this is not a movie to miss. Again, I think this one, it's in the top half of my list. It falls into something that's not necessarily as rewatchable as some of the other Edgar Wright films that we're used to. I can't tell you how many times I've watched Hot Fuzz.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea. It's a big number. I don't know how many times. Ian knows. He's got 2. But that's actually something. For Ian to have watched something twice, that's actually impressive. I think.
Or was that your guess for him? You thought he watched it 2 times.
Oh,
okay.
Your guess for me. Okay. Way more than twice for Hot Fuzz. But a lot of Edgar Wright movies are very rewatchable because he puts in so many little details along the way for you to pick up on the next time you watch and the next time you watch. And I want to rewatch this movie in the same way because I know he did that here. But it's a little bit of a heavier film to rewatch over and over again. But it is just a damn good movie from start to finish. It's well done. I can't find anything negative to say about it.
Yeah, I love me some Edgar Wright. I got to get there.
It's also, I will try not to say this about every movie that we talk about, but we also watched the special features on this right afterward. The stuff that you see that they did so much practical in-camera editing and shooting on this, that stuff that you will be absolutely sure you'll say to yourself, okay, CGI, green screens, blah, 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 blah. There is so much that they did practically that, like, watch the behind the scenes stuff. It's really, really cool.
And I guess that's part of why I say it's so important to recognize what he did.
Yeah.
Like how impressive the work he did with mirrors and all this stuff was. It's how much of it was actually practical. makes it that much more impressive. Yeah, there's a lot you could say. Also, don't miss Matt Smith's performance. He
Agreed.
absolutely killed it in this movie. Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy are going to be the ones that draw the attention, but Matt Smith had one hell of a performance.
Nice. All right. Ian, do you know anything about this one? Did you see this one? Want to see this one? Anything?
This was on my list to watch before this, but instead of like Josh watched 21 movies in 3 weeks, 28 movies.
Whatever it was.
I watched 3 in 3 weeks. This didn't make the cut, but it was on the list. I've heard great things about it. One of my favorite people, Hideo Kojima, really enjoyed this film, so that was kind of what got me on to wanting to see it even more than it just being an Edgar Wright joint.
Nice. All right, anything else?
Josh knows who that is.
Wait, what?
I said Josh knows who that is, Hideo Kojima.
Yes, Josh knows who Hideo Kojima is. Close personal friend of Guillermo del Toro. That's his claim to fame. That's the only claim to fame Kojima has.
Gotcha.
That's all you need to know about him.
Anything else to add for Last Night in Soho? Nope.
Did it take place only over one night?
No.
Was it the next day, and that's why it's called Last Night?
No.
Several
Okay.
different
So
times,
the title's
perhaps.
false. The title is false. Okay.
I guess you could say, without spoiling anything, that the climax of the film perhaps takes place. No, not even that.
But it takes place in
It's just
Yes.
a wispy title.
Okay.
So we're half.
yeah.
It's half there. It's in Soho. That's all you get.
Yeah,
Ian.
like it's just wispy. It's makes you wonder.
All right.
I guess.
So we'll go spin back around to, I guess, my number 10. Or, sorry. No, 8. I'm counting the wrong way. 8. My number 8. All right. So my number 8 is No Time to Die. The what, 5th Daniel Craig James Bond? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is longer than I think I expected. It's close to 3 hours. I've watched it twice. I watched it in the theater, and then I bought it and watched it at home just to see if it still held up. I think it does. I was afraid watching it a second time, knowing what happens if I was going to feel bored. I don't feel like I did. It's weird for Craig's Bond, because his 5 movies definitely have a definitive arc for that character, and this one definitely gives you an end cap for his tenure as Bond. So his 5 movies really kind of stand alone. Like, you're so used to James Bond movies just being a one-off, well, kind of a one-off, that you could just kind of pop in and watch. Oh, it's James Bond. Whoever's playing James Bond, I could just watch the movie. Craig's get to a point where you almost have to see the other ones before you see this one. And I think you'll appreciate this one
You
a lot
absolutely
more
do.
having seen the other ones.
Yeah, you absolutely need to see the other ones first.
Yeah.
This is not Pierce Brosnan, where there's no connective threads other than the same actor playing the same character that doesn't reference the last movie at all.
Right. I think Craig still does a great job as Bond. I'm curious who they replace him with, whenever we eventually get a new one, but I think he did a great job. As an action movie, it's still pretty freaking good. The story, I think, held up pretty well. Everybody that showed up for the act, I'm trying to remember who the director was. Was it Fukunawa? Right? Cary Fukunawa?
Yeah. I have the name here. Cary Joji Fukunaga.
Yeah. He directed some action that's really freaking cool. Some of it they put in the trailer. So if you've seen the trailer, there's some stunts and action stuff that just looks really, really fucking cool. So yeah, they did a good job. I highly recommend to anybody that has seen some James Bond and especially the Craig ones and hasn't seen this one, definitely check it out.
So I'm going to jump in here because this appears a lot higher on my list. And this is a movie that it's really hard to talk about why it's so high on the list without it being spoilery. So to keep it simple, this is my personal opinion, the single best James Bond film they have made yet.
Wow. Okay. High praise.
And I am a huge James Bond fan. I own, multiple physical copies of every kind, and the weird collectory shit like that with it. It's one of my favorite things to watch because they're just fun, because a lot of them were one-off for a long time. And I think this one, in 10 years, do I feel like this is still the best James Bond? I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't stand the test of time that way. But I think it felt so good coming off of Spectre being such an awful movie. Spectre was bad. Like everything else that they have.
It's not great.
Like, well, they went from Skyfall, which was top tier. Skyfall's amazing. And then Spectre happens, and you get hyped because it's Christoph Waltz. And it's like, oh man, what's he going to do as a Bond villain? And then the movie sucked. And for me, sorry, I'll be clear. For me, it sucked. And you come back with No Time to Die, and this movie, it had great action, it had heart, it had fun. Like, Ana de Armas's character, that was one of the most fun characters that Bond movie has had in how long?
I was sad that she was not in it more.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And surprised. I felt like some of the marketing was centralized.
Well, she's a hot name right now, coming off of
Right.
Knives Out and Blade
yeah.
Runner and everything else that she's been in.
Yeah, she's easy to market in that sense. But they also didn't market, Chloe, not Chloe, what's her name? Shia LaDue. Her character's, I guess, presence in the film wasn't really played up in any of the trailers. And, if you've watched the other Bonds, you know that her character is kind of important to the arc of Daniel Craig's Bond. So, like, not putting her in the trailers was a good choice, which is probably another reason that Anna was so heavily featured. Was to kind of rein back in expectations or spoilers or anything like that as much as they could. But yeah, this, from the action sequences to everything about it,
Well, you're talking about how
fucking
Spectre
love this movie.
like really isn't your favorite, but at this point, you almost have to see Spectre before, like, regardless of whether it's a good or bad movie, you should see Spectre before seeing No Time to Die.
Yes, you should see Spectre because there's important bits of story that are in Spectre that you need to know for No Time to Die. And that should be the only time you ever watch Spectre, that one single time.
Could you just read the wiki?
I mean, I
Like,
guess
could you
that's an
find the
option.
cliff
I'd
notes?
have to read the wiki to tell you if you could just read the wiki. I have not read it.
It's also a
Edit it.
viable alternative, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Josh, you saw No Time to Die, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we did. We got out. I think we saw this one in theaters. Yes, we did. And was it November? Well, it came out, I think, while we were on vacation. So that was like one of our catch-up movies around Halloween. So as I have mentioned on the show over the last, I don't know, at least year and a half or so, well, even before COVID, we had actually tried to start like this dedicated James Bond complete collection rewatch.
Right. Yeah.
And then COVID hit, 2 years ago, and we're like, well, I guess we're getting through a lot of these now. and we did. So we finally finished all of it up sometime in 2020, I think, by getting back through Skyfall and rewatching Spectre for the first time since the only other time we saw it in theaters. It was not as unenjoyable as I remember it being from the first time. I think going directly, like literally a back-to-back rewatch, like maybe even doing the Daniel Craig series, do those over like 2 weeks, right? Do it in a short time. It goes a bit better. And I think to Mike, it was a harder pill to swallow. Yes. Hitting that stepping stone, getting to this point, you got to go from Skyfall, hit that, and then go to No Time to Die. This was a good breath of fresh air. After you make 5 movies of the same genre with the same principal actors, what else can you do? How can you still make it interesting? What else differently can you do? Blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
They found ways to do that. It was good. This didn't crack my list. But I think it was given where they needed the story to ultimately go. For me, I think maybe they were constrained by certain choices. And had they not wanted to end up where they did, they might have made different choices that might have made it more compelling for me. But overall, just as a very entertaining, cool, additional, entry into the spy espionage catalog, definitely did well.
Right. it's almost to the point too. I think where with 5 of them, sort of like Spectre and I guess Spectre and what the hell's the second one called?
Quantum of Solace.
Casino Royale.
Yes, Quantum of Solace. Sorry. Those 2 I think are the lower points of the 5 movies Craig has been in. But at the same time, I think if they are watched in tandem with another movie, it makes them better. Like, I think if you watch Casino Royale, you should jump right into Quantum of Solace. It makes Quantum of Solace better. If you want to watch No Time to Die, I think you should watch Spectre and then immediately go to No Time to Die. I think that will make Spectre better. Skyfall is just good. Like, you can just watch that on its own, and I think it holds up. But the other 2 definitely help from the complementary movies around it. So I highly recommend that to any type of viewing order that anyone wants to do. That those would probably be the preferred. If you have like 5 hours to watch, Spectre and No Time to Die back to back, it's a day, but I think it'd be worth it.
Ian, did you see these?
I've never seen a James Bond film.
Okay, we'll have to work on that maybe.
None at all.
Sometime.
Just like Brian also knows, I've never seen a Mission Impossible.
Oh, I did know that. Yes.
The very first one I saw, I've said this before, the very first one I ever saw was Skyfall. And like I saw it in a theater because someone asked me to go finally to a Bond movie. I'm like, I guess so, sure. So that was like 2012, and I hadn't seen anything before that ever.
It's a good first Bond movie to have seen. Like, it's
Set the bar
Yeah.
high.
yeah, that's true. It's also a bad first Bond movie to see because then
Especially doing
there's
that
a lot of them
backwatch.
that are way below Skyfall. So
Anything especially like pre-Brosnan, holy crap, it does not, like, just from a movie making standpoint, just in my opinion, just does not age well. But that's neither here nor there. I digress.
I will ask you guys one question because we got to give the audience what they want. And I guess it doesn't, like, I guess Ian's not really going to have much of an opinion, but he can throw his out there if he has one. Audience answer 2. Next James Bond, where are we going?
I mean, the
That's
rumors
what
of
he's got.
Idris are out there.
Yeah, there's getting
Like,
kicked
that's
around.
hot.
There's a
Well,
campaign for
like
Idris.
he's kicking around, yeah. But I mean, who do you want to see? Is what I'm saying.
Jason Momoa. He's
I'll watch it.
charismatic, he's funny, and he's big and strong.
I don't think you need
and he
big
would
and strong,
never
though.
blend in. He would he would be found out immediately.
James Bond just wears suits everywhere. That doesn't blend into shit. Here's
To be
this
fair,
super
James
cool
Bond
guy
does
everyone
do a
wants
bit
to
of a
hang
Clark
out with.
Kent glasses thing.
Like Jason Momoa looks like the ideal CEO. This bro you just want to hang down with, you know? Does he even like sneak into shit anymore? That's like, oh, I'm blending in naturally into society. Here is my martini, sir.
It looks like Andy
I-
says Idris. What you got?
Yeah, I still like Idris. I think I'd like to see them do something different with Idris. If they don't and stick more traditional, I do think Tom Hiddleston could do it. I could see him
Okay.
pulling
Too
off
young.
James Bond.
Ooh, okay.
I have my thought, but I'm waiting for Josh.
Beyond Idris, I ever since I
Paul
heard
Rudd.
that idea, honestly, ever since I
And
heard that
Chad.
idea, I'm like, does it, like, why are we talking about anymore? Like, he's perfect. He could just walk into it right now, camera ready, and just go.
It's got to be the age,
So,
right? He's got to be getting up
That's what my issue with
Sure.
Idris is why they might not cast him is he's a bit old to start a franchise as Bond.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see him do a movie or two, but how long are they going to string him on as Bond at his age? I don't know.
But I mean, do you need to do more than 2 with the same guy?
I mean, they did one with George Lazenby.
That's not a real person.
Okay.
And I mean, they kept Craig on for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 5 movies, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was 15 years.
So at the very least, a concession, Idris should be a Bond villain.
Fair. Yeah,
my
if you just want to get
personal
him in
thought-
one. Yeah.
Because it like ticking off a few of the boxes pretty much just for me is British. Just so long as they're British, I would consider them. But I think it was actually Amy brought it up to me. Jamie Dornan, I think, is
I don't know if I
Oh,
know who that is.
perfect.
Outlander.
50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, that guy. Okay, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Wait, did you say
Wait,
his character name?
Wait, is he the
Yeah,
main
he-
guy in 50 Shades?
Yes.
Okay, I think I know what he looks like now.
Is
That-
his name
that is-
Dorian Gray? You said
I've
that,
never
right?
watched it. I know he was in it.
His name's Dorian Gray. Okay, that's just weird. They casted James Dorian as Dorian Gray.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
His name's Dornan. Not Dorian. Dornan.
Dornan's worse.
I heard Dorian.
nonetheless, I think he would be a great choice. But Idris, if they want to do it, I'm there to see it too. The other option that nobody's talked about,
Chris Pratt.
He's taking roles from
that's
everybody
it.
else. Why not?
That I don't see them talking about a lot. That's an option is Lashana Lynch. She is in No Time to Die. She is a part of MI6, and I would watch her character continue on taking up the role.
Yeah, they could gender bend it. Female
She
James
was
Bond,
great.
yeah.
in
It'd be
this
a very
movie,
organic
and I would watch
transition
it.
too.
Yeah, that's why I think it's there. It's an option. I would love it. But
Another thought that actually just occurred to me, and I don't know what's going on with him and his other role that they've been tossing around if he'll ever come back to it, but Henry Cavill, I think, would make a good Bond. I
Yeah.
think anyone that's seen Man from U.N.C.L.E., he is fantastic in that movie.
well, I found out he was British. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
So there's your
honestly
box.
didn't.
He
When
checks
I was
that box for
thinking
you.
about all this stuff, it was like, oh, I didn't realize he was British. He does.
Yeah.
He pulls off an American accent very well. Rahul Kohli. That's an interesting one.
Chad is
Andy.
Death Watch is suggesting Paul Rudd.
I'm there for that.
Yes.
If they want to do it.
Yes, if that's like the next version of like how Austin Powers was to James Bond.
Well,
if there's
maybe
like
we
some
can get
I
him
want to
as
see it
Felix.
completely serious with Rudd. I think that'd be great. He's
Or
the
we get him as
sexiest man
Felix.
alive.
Yeah, that's true. They did name him the sexiest man alive. That's
People did.
people did. Yeah.
Who else we got? Harry Styles, Raoul.
Yeah.
I'd be. I want to see what Harry does in the MCU.
Yeah, I
with
want to
his
see
role.
that. Yeah, I want to see him act more first.
Yeah, I haven't
Rahul
seen enough with
Kohli,
Harry Styles.
I would watch Rahul Kohli as James Bond. I think he could fucking pull it off. That would be awesome.
I had to double check if that was who that was.
I guess
yeah,
the
good-
thing you would
good
most
pull.
know Rahul Kohli from would be what is that
iZombie.
movie? It's a series, iZombie, but there's a Netflix series, The House on the Hill, or one
Yeah,
of those
he was in
Netflix horror
the,
series.
the Haunting of Bly Manor,
Yes,
which was
the
basically the
sequel.
turning of the screw. Was
Yeah.
the adaptation, and then he was in the follow-up Midnight Mass.
That's the one I was thinking. Yeah, Midnight Mass. I couldn't get that name.
Yeah, good pull.
He would be very interesting. I have not seen anybody else bring him up, but I like that idea.
I see him in people's fan casting for Reed Richards and
I'd
Ooh.
watch that.
other stuff too. Reed
I
Richards
like
is the
that
one
as
that
well.
comes to mind.
So he is also, I did not realize this, he is the voice of Scarecrow on the HBO Max Harley Quinn animated show.
Mm,
And that is awesome because that show's amazing.
nice.
That's a good pull.
Anything else for No Time to Die? Or we'll go to Mike's number 8.
Oh shit, I'm next.
Yeah, you are up.
I felt like because I talked about a lot about that one, I was confused. All right, well,
All right, so what's your number 8? Spin to you.
number 8 coming in. This is, probably guaranteed to only be on my list. I know I'm one of the only genuine Nicolas Cage lovers in the group.
Pig. Pig. Pig.
It is not Pig.
If you're gonna go with what I think you are, good. Go ahead.
We are going with what you think I'm going to go with because, and there's a little bit of a video game theme going on with the back half of my top 10 here. Playing the janitor in Willy's Wonderland is Nicolas Cage. Willy's Wonderland is this amazingly fun, stupid movie. And it is, if you don't know, there's a loose connection with it to a video game called Five Nights at Freddy's, where the animatronic demon Chuck E. Cheese things come to life at night and murder people. That is basically the premise of this movie, is that the janitor, which is all he is known as, because he does not speak a single word in this film.
No, he
And
did
he
not.
still manages to Nick Cage it up, if you will, without saying a word. Yeah, it's so fun. I love this fucking movie. I could watch this movie once a week. It's short. It's dumb. It's violent. hilarious. And the violence is hilarious too, because it's like he's tearing apart these things and there's oil spilling out all over him, not blood. Because it's an animatronic. And why is there oil? There probably wouldn't be. Like, it would just have some little bits of grease, but it's still hilarious. It is, I guess, a guilty pleasure kind of movie. He comes in, his car breaks down, and these townspeople that are, like, I guess, under the oppression of these things trick him into cleaning up Willy's Wonderland so that it can reopen someday. And very quietly, without saying a word, just throughout the night, he starts killing murder bots that are out trying to kill other, local teens that happen to end up in the place that night. Without spoiling anything, they end up in the place and they're dying to these things, and he's just it's just a ton of fucking fun.
It's the kind of movie you would have seen at 1 a.m. on USA in 1995.
It's made better than that.
Made better. But, I mean, it's the modern version of that. I watched this like a week ago.
And they have actually talked. They're probably going to continue on the janitor as a character in another film.
Oh, God.
Because
Well, I mean, he needs money.
Well, no, it was actually hilarious and fun. Like, the dude shows up out of nowhere it's the guy drinks a bunch of soda, plays pinball, and kills fucking murder bots. How
It's a
more
good
Nick
life.
Cage can something be?
This just reminds me of the movie about like the homeless guy that goes on like a killing spree, killing all the bad drug users in the town.
You talking about
Like,
Hobo
it's
with
called,
a
like,
shotgun?
Hobo. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, it's if you haven't watched it, it's 90 minutes of your life. Willy's Wonderland is aces.
Andy said it in
Aces.
chat. I was going to say that too. Spoiler alert, it made Andy's list higher than number 8.
Andy has good taste. I like it.
Josh, you ended up seeing this too. What did you think?
I am happy Mike enjoyed it so much.
Wow. That's the most scathing review Josh has ever given.
Genuinely, I am happy.
He
someone
said that
else
about the
found
anime
joy in
movie
something.
that you listed that he hadn't seen. And he has seen this one, and he's saying it about it.
Yeah, that's how scathing it is.
Ian, did you
Yeah.
see this one or no?
No.
Okay. Just checking. I have not seen it either, so I can't chime into this one.
If you like Five Nights at Freddy's, it's a good cathartic watch.
So, wait. You don't like Fortnite because it's for kids, but Five Nights at Freddy's is okay?
I don't really like the game that much.
Okay.
But this movie I did enjoy. The game was okay. But Five Nights at Freddy's is also a lot more complex than Fortnite. So
Have you ever tried to build in Fortnite? I think not. Check me.
Yeah, if I want to play as Peppa Pig shooting Spider-Man, I'll go play Fortnite.
Is Peppa Pig in Fortnite now?
Probably.
'Cause
I don't know.
I'll buy that skin.
Just sold
Ladies and
Ian.
gentlemen, the Fortnite audience.
You can teabag as Peppa Pig. Hey, you're fucking up if you don't think that's awesome.
Shit. All right, Ian, we'll move on to your number 8.
Goblin Slayer, Goblin's Crown. Director Takaharu Uzaki reprises his role from the TV anime. Noble Fencer has disappeared after she left with her group to slay goblins. Goblin Slayer and his party head up to the snowy mountains in the north after receiving the request from the Sword Maiden herself. A small village gets attacked and they encounter a mysterious chapel, and something about how these goblins are acting bothers the Goblin Slayer. We find out these goblins are not run by some ordinary hob. Nay, it is the Goblin Paladin that leads. In some of the most action-packed and heart-rending moments from the series, we find out if Goblin Slayer can slay the king. This was a continuation of the anime Goblin Slayer. It was originally a light novel that I've read that is about a man whose entire village is killed by goblins. He becomes a hero, an adventurer that only takes on quests to exterminate goblins because you have to kill all the goblins. So we had the TV anime originally, and then this movie follow-up that covers one full novel of the book which is them going on this quest to free Noble Fencer from doom and terror. And it's really well put together. It's beautifully drawn. Like I said, they brought back the same director to bring this on. It's just 90 minutes of action-packed, ooey gooey geeky goodness. That's how you say it, Brian.
Fair.
There was a pause for our reaction to him saying that there that I was not prepared for.
I tried looking this up on Rotten Tomatoes. Is this another one that's not on Rotten Tomatoes?
I think only one of these is. I'll let you know when we get there.
He already said it.
I
Suicide
have
Squad.
actually seen like a screen or like the cover art for this. I recognize the name Goblin Slayer. Like I have seen cover art for this one. That is maybe as close as I'm going to come to some of these.
What was the title again? Goblin Slayer, Goblin Crown?
Goblin's Crown.
Goblin's Crown.
And-
Okay.
And there's a dashes in between, like before and after Goblins and after Crown.
That seems overly specific.
Yeah.
It's how it's on the
Yeah.
website.
No, I mean if you're looking for it, you got to find it. You got to know how it's done.
Very true.
I have not seen this one. So whatever Ian has to say about it, I'm going to speak for Brian since he's doing stuff. He has not seen it either.
I have not seen it either now.
If you have anything else for it, Ian, you can have at it.
It's pretty bloody. They do a lot of intrigue. He is with his normal adventuring party. The priestess, the archer, the elf archer, of course, dwarf shaman, and lizard man. Well, that's his name. Every character name is just your race and your class. Unless you're human,
nice.
then it's just your class. Because it's literally a D&D, like the over biographical story is that the gods literally are playing D&D and they roll the die. But Goblin Slayer's the only character the gods don't roll for. He's completely in control of his own actions. It's a fun little meta story on top of the whole thing.
You should have started with that. Now I'm in and I actually want to watch this.
And then when I actually went to a convention in December and it was a panel literally called "What do you do to goblins?" and the answer every time was kill all the goblins. It's very fun. There's also a real drunk guy in there that put his mask on. That wasn't as fun.
Did he get
Shouts out
kicked
to you,
out?
Bucky. They came in several times to remind him
Mm.
until he finally left it on.
That's good. That's good.
Then they let him know he'd be banned if he did it again.
Did they tell him he was going to be one of the goblins and they were going to kill him?
No, that guy didn't have the control that he needed
Oh, that's a shame.
because, he's giving a panel at an anime convention.
Yeah, I assume people giving a panel at an anime convention don't have a lot of
Some of them do, like Samurai Dan, if you remember that.
Oh,
Samurai
yeah,
Dan. How's he doing these days?
Still alive.
That's awesome. That's good to know. Glad he's out there kicking. I assume.
No, he's use a sword.
Oh, that's true. He's not Karate Dan. He's Samurai
Yeah.
Dan.
Come on, get it together.
Side, my bad. My bad.
All right, we're going to go on to Josh's number 8. Josh, what's your number 8?
Wait, Josh never said if he saw it.
I'm assuming he did.
No.
This isn't one of the 21?
This was not that. I told you there was like 7 or 8 I didn't get to.
You're right. They're all on my list somehow.
Jeez, I mean, I had to prioritize. So this is the sort of second, and probably the last, I guess, of the COVID era sentimental connotation movies. This was the last thing I saw in theaters before shutdown. I saw it on March 8th, 2020, and
There's
honestly,
a chance this
Bloodshot.
is Bloodshot.
screw you guys.
We're
Well, at
waiting
least
for
you
the
didn't have-
Bloodshot drop. I'm sorry. It's
The last movie I saw in theaters, Josh, before COVID was Cats.
Oh, wow, you should keep that.
It
to
was such a
yourself.
good movie. It was a great movie.
gonna
it's
be
on
on
his
his
list.
No, December 2019.
Oh, okay.
That's
Fair.
a shame.
Otherwise, it'd be in top 3. I guarantee it.
Jesus. I think objectively, had we actually gotten to do a best of 2020 straight on its own, this would have made the list anyway. This is The Invisible Man.
Oh, okay.
This was the basically remake yet again of Universal Monsters classic story, updated for modern sensibilities, but done in a really creative way. Your director, your lead creative on this is Lee Wanell. If you don't know that name, if you know the Saw franchise whatsoever, he, along with like James Wan and one other, like they are responsible for all of that. He played Adam in Saw. The other dude, spoilers, connected by the ankle in the bathroom. That's
Insidious
him.
as well.
But yeah, so he goes on. Then a couple years later, while Saw is still finishing, he creates the Insidious franchise as well. He directed Insidious 3 even. I think he's wicked talented. I really like this dude. I can't wait to see what he does next. From what I've heard for a while, he might be involved in a remake of Escape from New York as a director.
Oh, okay.
But Invisible Man, I thought was just honestly great. Like, there's surprisingly very few characters in it, and
Yeah, it's a short cast.
yeah, it's a little long. It clocks in around 2 hours, but it carries very quickly, very smoothly. Elizabeth Moss freaking knocks it out of the park. I think this got probably pushed to the side and forgotten very quickly because it released literally like a week or two before national lockdown went into effect, and it didn't get the time in theaters that it otherwise would have. And then movies didn't really matter for a while. They weren't important, and so it didn't get talked about in the follow-up and all that. But it was an amazing sort of updated reimagining of it, and the way that they choose their hook of how it all works was really, really cool. Not much else again I can say, unfortunately, because it kind of gives certain things away. So check out The Invisible Man if you and this is not, and Brian, you would like this. It's a little jump scary at times.
Oh no.
It's not gory, but it's good.
It's not gory.
It's suspense. Yeah. It's suspense and thriller-ish. It's not even like jump scare horror per se.
Okay.
It's good. Look it up.
I'll keep that in mind.
I'm assuming Brian has not watched it.
I have not watched it. No.
Ian, have you
Oh,
watched?
my mic's already on. I of course have not seen.
Okay, so I was
It
just
was one
assuming,
of my 7 or 8.
I was assuming you guys had not seen it, so I was going to hop in with my opinion about it, just because.
Invisible gore. No, Andy in chat says it's invisible gore.
Yeah,
That's how I can watch it.
I actually think there is like invisible gore. Like there is like, if I remember correctly, there's something that like happens and there's a blood splatter, but you don't actually see it because he's invisible.
Oh, okay.
It works.
Yeah, it works. It's cool,
Mhm.
but I remember the effects being very cool. Elizabeth Moss, as you said, she did a great job in this movie. I don't remember as many details about it because this may have been like the first movie that I watched that was like pay to watch at home. Where this was like your last movie in the theater. I think this might have been my first one out of the theater. So it is a while ago since I watched it, but I remember thinking like, damn, that was really good. It wasn't as scary as I hoped, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Which is one of those like awkward things where it's like good movie, but not what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And James Wan, the guy really doesn't miss much, although Malignant was okay.
Good.
Well, I think, let me take a look. He might have acted as a producer on this because I know him and Lee Whannell do a lot together, but producer, no, he did not. No, so this was, I mean, among other
Just Lee Whannell,
producers and whatnot. Yeah, it was. There was oh, actually, no. Lee is also credited solely. It's an adaptation from an H.G. Wells novel, but
yeah.
Lee is also credited as the sole story and screenwriter.
Oh wow,
So it's
they'd worked so
much
much
all
together.
his vision.
I just assumed James Wan is attached to.
In
Like
some
I
way,
assumed
right?
they go together, you
Yeah.
know. But I guess not. So there you have it.
All right. Anything else for Invisible Man? Nope. All right. We're going to loop back around. My turn. My number 7. My number 7 is probably another movie that I didn't expect to get. And once I figured out it was happening, I was like, yep, sign me up. I'm in. It also was a movie I kind of forgot came out at the beginning of 2020, and that's Bad Boys for Life. we got
Oh.
Bad Boys fucking 3. Like, I am so excited this movie exists. It seems to set it up for a fourth, so I haven't heard anything about them moving forward with a fourth one yet, so I don't know if just schedules are busy. I feel like Martin Lawrence has to be free, but I don't know what Will Smith's schedule's like. The first of the Bad Boys series that is not directed by Michael Bay. I'm going to butcher these guys' names. This was Aldiel Arbi, and then Belil Falah, I think, if I got that right.
You went from Ariba to like Arby.
Arby? I don't know how it's said, but either way, those are the director duo. Those two guys, they mimicked Michael Bay's style to the point where if you didn't know it wasn't directed by Michael Bay, I think you'd think it was directed by Michael Bay.
Is that a good thing?
I think for Bad Boys, yes. I think Bad Boys fits that style. So, all the camera movements, the way they direct action, all of that stuff is excellent. This had more character stuff than I expected for a Bad Boys movie, which is maybe why they got Will Smith to come back for it. They actually gave him some stuff to do, like character-driven stuff. But yeah, I love this movie. I think this is one of the most rewatchable of the Bad Boys, I guess, trilogy now. The other ones I think are like the first one's very funny, and I think there's a lot of stuff there for the humor. Maybe not as much the action. Second one is just a straight up action movie.
Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. This one definitely threads the line between both of them. I think it's funny. I think it's action packed. I think both of them work very well. If you like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith together are what drives the movie. Like, you just want to see the two of them hang out and interact, and that's the fun stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more. Hopefully they make more of these movies. I love it. I love this one. It's in my number 7.
I personally hope someday
Yes.
we get to see Will Smith and Martin Lawrence standing in a doorway together, talking to their granddaughter's date, as opposed to just the daughter's date. That let's get a granddaughter or maybe a great granddaughter someday. Get them in walkers out there when they're 90. I don't care. That scene alone will sell a Bad Boys movie to me. Didn't happen in Bad Boys for Life. That's a shame.
Yeah.
But the two of them together are fantastic. This one I didn't like as much as I like the other Bad Boys, though.
It's fair.
I like the other ones better.
Was number 2 the one with the prolonged, idiotic rat sex bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Michael Bay humor at its finest.
I think
Yeah,
I liked this
that's-
better than that one.
I mean, all right. That's a good reason. If you're gonna pull a reason, that's a good one. But yeah, it was fun. It was very much what I would have expected out of this movie. You know what you're getting with a Bad Boys movie, and it's not bad. To me, they're not bad. They're not great. They're fun, and that's
I
good
think,
enough.
like Michael, what you were talking about earlier, like maybe not objectively good movies, but just ones that are fun for you to rewatch. Like this is that movie for me. This is the one I would just throw on to rewatch it because it's fun for me.
Exactly. You can be doing 2 other different things, multitasking, and you pick up a scene from this that you actually like, and it's like, all right, let me put everything else down and watch this for a bit.
Right.
That kind of movie, I like that about it, for sure, because it's not, you don't have to pay attention to get what's going on. And I think that's a good thing.
I don't know if that sounds like a good thing.
Well, no, I'm saying, what's going on is not so consequential. Because, like you're saying, it's a fun, rewatchable movie.
Yeah.
And for me, it's important that...
You don't have to pay attention during it.
Yeah, you don't have to remember all the little details. Some movies
Okay.
require you to remember, the minute, what's the character's motivation and all that. I don't need that shit in Bad Boys. It doesn't
Is
matter.
the motivation to be bad boys?
Exactly. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
When they come for you.
Exactly.
you.
All right, finally. Somebody
Someone
had to,
pick that up.
if we're gonna start this, we have to finish it. It's fun.
Well,
It's
I
good.
was talking through my list just late this afternoon, 4:30, and I was asking Sarah for some of her input. She, similar to what we did, she pulls up a website. She's looking at releases, what she watched throughout the 2 years and whatnot. And Brian, she gets to a point. I think she was going backwards in time, so it was towards the end. So she gets almost to January 2020, and she says, "Oh, is Brian gonna have Bad Boys for Life?" So I'm texting her
Represented,
downstairs
Sarah,
right
yes.
now to let her know.
You are predictable, is what he's.
It's fine.
But
I like
you're
what I like,
consistent.
man. Like
You're consistent. It's true. Like it's a good thing.
If you guys haven't pegged my 1 and 2 movies right now, you guys don't know me very well.
I know number 1. Number
Pig.
2, I think, is up in the air, but I have a strong suspicion.
We'll see where we end up.
Black Widow.
I don't think it's that.
Ian, I'm assuming you did. Have you seen any Bad Boys movies?
No, but I do have one note. If they are planning a 4th one, why wasn't that one called Bad Boys 4?
That's
Life?
That's my only strike against this movie. Why would you not leave the 4 as the number 4 for the 4th movie? Like,
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Because they
It's
also
like Fast
That's
and
a Michael Bay
Furious
move.
like they did Fast 5. They did all these things with numbers after that, but they didn't do Fast and Furious. Like they left it out. They didn't do it. They could have done it. They
Yeah,
didn't do
somebody
it here
dropped the
either.
ball
Like,
there. I will never agree.
is this the one that we talked about also, that they actually were using the number 4 in like the title
Mhm.
marketing as well? Like they were replacing the word.
I
with
don't think I
4,
ever saw that.
No, okay, maybe I just assumed that they would make hit that pothole also.
Or like if it's Bad Boys for Life, that's the E in life should be a 3. Like if you want to put the number in there, that's the
Yeah,
way
there
to do
you
it for
go.
this title.
And the I should be a Y.
No, I'd hate it already. No, I already hate that.
Who made this movie?
I like
We gotta tweet somebody. They need to get in contact with Brian and get some notes.
Oh, it's because of Fan Four Stick. He's right.
It's a little bit of the fan force thing, yeah. That's
Yeah.
All right, Mike, we'll go to your number 7.
Oh, my number 7 is a wonderful tale. I'm gonna set the frame for you here. Big, dumb, idiotic, pointless, waste of space, radiation sucking lizard decides he's gonna bully a baby ape,
Oh, here we go.
and we end up with Godzilla versus Kong. And that baby ape allows the I guess the little weird snack to take its time and have a nice day, just to be waiting for the sequel, where the actual adult ape just eats the lizard and poops it out.
I guess it's fitting that it's 250 and we're just going to rehash this whole argument all over again. Like
No, it's Godzilla versus Kong. Godzilla versus Kong was a lot of fun. It's everything I wanted it to be. Godzilla and Kong just beating the shit out of each other a bunch of times. It doesn't do a whole lot to really try to explain why. It doesn't get bogged down in any of that. It's exactly what you would expect. I think Ian and I have talked many times before about Shin Godzilla actually being a quality film at the same time as being a Godzilla film. This movie doesn't try to do that. It just tries to give you a reason and an arena for them to fight in. It does that. It does it well. And I guess King Kong learned sign language, and that's cool. But it's not... I don't know. Like, there's a lot I could say, but we've said it all before, Like, it's... Like you said, we've had this argument so many times. I'm not gonna rehash it. I'm very secure in Godzilla's baby fight capabilities against an adult Godzilla. I'm fine with it. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was good. It was yeah. I mean,
Ian, do you have a rebuttal?
I was waiting
This
for it. I
movie
was,
was 90 minutes of Godzilla kicking King Kong's ass up and down the sidewalk.
baby,
The ape in this film is such a terrible fighter. He gets captured by humans,
baby.
which are the most inconsequential creatures in a giant monster movie. If they're not in a robot, they are useless, and yet they capture this great ape that gets its ass kicked by a much stronger and superior lizard. Luckily, this film didn't ruin itself by ever showing any hints that King Kong could win a fight against Godzilla, because it would be impossible. We are talking about an apex predator raised from the nuclear fallout in Fukushima. It is the greatest being to ever be on this earth. We are talking about the Supreme One himself, Godzilla. It is in the goddamn name. This movie did not make my list because it was even embarrassing to think it was a fight. Putting versus in the title implied King Kong had a chance, and that was equivocally not true. This was a ape getting its ass kicked back to the Pregozoa period.
I could honestly feel and hear the boredom in this argument's length with Ian at this point.
Just resigned. Josh, what do you think
It's
of the
not
movie?
on my list, so I didn't prepare.
So this initially, until this moment, until this exchange, this movie was in my disappointments column. But I will admit that I will move it to my need to rewatch to form a better opinion about column. I looked up our episode review on this from last spring. It's episode 221. All my thoughts about it are in there. It hasn't changed yet. The things that are fun about the movie are fun, but there's so much in it that takes away from the fun for me.
Which is anytime a human speaks, including the podcaster and
Mostly.
those fucking kids that traveled the world in like 60 seconds.
Whoa, listen. Fire Fist and 11 really put on a good show there.
Along with Fastus.
Yeah, that's true. He's Festus.
Oh shit, that's
Yeah.
right.
Festus, Fire Fist, and 11, they should have won this fight themselves. Let's be honest. Like, if we're being real about this,
So
they should have just ended it.
I'll boil that down to like a few sentences quickly. My position on it was just I never took the opinion on any of these modern monster movies that all the human stuff is boring and needless and take it all out. That's not necessarily it. It's the people stuff that they chose to write and put in this one that was needless and boring and pointless.
Well, it's like you
Like,
can tell
this-
that they just want the movie to focus on the monsters, but they don't have a good narrative way to get you to just follow along with the monsters. So they have to have exposition and have you following a group of humans to go where the story needs to go to just lead the audience there.
But
And
you can do it very well, to Josh's point, like Pacific Rim did.
but even I would even say even the first Godzilla, the 2014 or was that 2014 or 2016? 2014.
Yeah.
That one did it a lot better than any of the other ones after that. Like it did it better than I think King of Monsters. It did it better than Skull Island. It did it better than Godzilla vs Kong. I think that first one handled the human element well.
Well, and I think to what I said, these are fun movies. I can rewatch Godzilla vs. Kong. And I'm giving a lot of leeway to the cinematic mistakes that movies like this make, which are vast. They are very vast, especially when we know that they are not necessary. If you want to watch a quality story told around the Godzilla frame, as I said earlier, watch Shin Godzilla. The special effects in it are nowhere near what you're going to get out of this movie. But the story is 100 times better. So, do with that what you will. But Shin Godzilla wasn't made in the last 2 years, so it's not on my list. This movie is.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think if they somehow maybe it's something I got to look up on YouTube. Like if they supercut just all the monster fighting stuff, like monster fighting in Godzilla, monster fighting in King of Monsters, monster fighting in Skull Island, monster fighting in Godzilla vs. Kong, I am for that. I will watch that movie. But I do get bored with some of the human-y exposition, let's move the plot forward stuff that happens in those movies. And like Josh said, I think that distracts me from these movies. I even King of Monsters and Skull Island, like all those other ones, I just kind of wanted to go in and see an hour and a half of just monsters beating the crap out of each other, and you don't get that much. And that's when I start to get bored, I think.
I just now I want somebody to make like a completely re-edited version of this movie where we get every Millie Bobby Brown moment taken out and replaced with 11 and something that 11 did and said, like just pull it out, cut it out. Do the same thing for Fire Fist and for
Fastest.
Brian
Festus.
Tyree Henry. I
Yeah.
think that's his name, right? I remember the Fire Fist kid's name. Little New Zealand kid. I don't remember his real name.
Shark Boy.
Just pull them out and just have fun with it and make a Fire Fist cut, and that's what we'll call it.
Could happen.
it might actually end up being better thematically and all that. But I'm
Ian,
shitting
I
on a
think-
movie on my own list. I shouldn't do that.
I think we had you chime in for the Godzilla versus Kong fight. But what'd you think of the movie?
I enjoyed it. Especially at the time, it was that, hey, maybe we're going back to theaters. COVID's over party type of movie. I didn't
Yeah.
see it in theaters. I stayed at home and watched it on HBO Max because COVID was not over. But
Same.
Spoilers.
That's not a spoiler at this
That's
point.
the present.
Yeah, like look outside.
There's COVID raining down from the skies.
Is that
And
what that is? I thought it was snow.
Like,
It's COVID
I
snow.
think we've mentioned it a lot, but the
it's
human
what it is.
parts are not good. Like, you can do humans well in these monster movies. They're awful. There's these kids trapezing around like it's a fucking Goosebumps film, and I don't need that. Give me the fucking monsters brawling it out. Those obviously are the best parts of this film. The story was inconsequential. They set it up beautifully at one point. It's king versus king, or really God versus king. One came out on top. And we got
Didn't.
that set up because that's all you had to say. And like they delved back into from the original Godzilla film, the hollow earth theory that no one remembered or cared about, or got why that was important in any way to the story, or got in any sense. Wait, so King Kong was born underneath the earth, but then ended up on Skull Island. But to take him back beneath the earth, we took him to like South America instead of through Skull Island, where there obviously had to be a hole for him to end up there in the first place. Like just making shit up as they went, because like we filmed the scenes, we'll fill the dialogue in later.
Don't forget
Yeah.
the hypertube from Pensacola to Hong Kong.
Well, this takes place in a future where Elon Musk gets all that kind of control.
The
Oh,
that-
and that's what he does. He builds maglev tunnels.
Tesla
was a
logo
very-
is on all of that stuff. You just didn't
That was
see
just
it.
a large Tesla.
Yeah.
That was the Model T, the Tesla train.
Oh, man.
But it was worth watching. It fell off my list because I watched too much anime for it to stay.
Fair enough.
It's a good reason.
Well, with that segue, we'll move on to your number 70. And what do you got?
What was my last one? Goblin Slayer, right?
Yes,
Yep.
correct.
So, number 7, of course, is Zack Snyder's Justice League Forever and Always in Our Hearts. For this one, rewind, I think, 45 minutes for my thoughts.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we did talk about that early. Yes, that was on my
Yeah.
list.
And then we did like a 12-minute diatribe into James Bond, I think, at some point. And I think someone started reviewing Skyfall.
Well, there was definitely some Skyfall talk, yes.
So yeah, I really enjoyed Zack Snyder's vision being brought to everyone. I thought it was a really great moment at the DC fandom when he kind of got to really announce it and just talk with people about it. It seems to be a real passion project for him, and the whole major, the main cast of that all seem to really love him. And it's, awful why he had to step away in the first place. Obviously a great tragedy, but it was really nice to, just let this finally happen. And I know this will upset Brian because this is just another one of the whole, so we fixed Star Wars by complaining online. We got the Snyder Cut by complaining online. We fixed Ghostbusters maybe by complaining online. What's next?
Yeah, the internet trolls that seem like they're winning all these battles are really starting to get to me. Even if I want some of them to win, like just the fact that
Yeah.
they're getting their way, and people have found
It
out that if
keeps
you just
happening.
scream loud enough online, stuff happens. This is not how the world should work.
I even forgot the best one. They fixed Sonic.
Oh, yeah. Damn it. See, for every bad one, there's one I can say, well, this one worked, so I don't know. I don't know whether to love it or hate it.
So yeah, that's, I guess, my thoughts on the Justice League. I'm really excited for Zach that he got to do it. I didn't get spoilers, I guess. It's not on my list because I didn't see it. I didn't see Army of the Dead yet. But
Really?
I'm always excited to see what Zach does next. I didn't have Netflix for a long time.
Oh man, okay, yeah, you'll enjoy it, I think.
Me and Zach called me and we read through the script together.
Yeah, he needs feedback,
We did a table read.
right? You got to workshop that.
All right, since we already talked about Justice League, Josh, we'll go to your number 7.
Speaking of Netflix and things, this was a straight to Netflix made for them, whatever they acquired rights, however it happened. I think this came out in earlier in 2020 than I realized, and I just checked my watch date. I didn't actually watch it till last March, so I think it was out for almost a year before I got to it. The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Oh, I forgot about that movie.
Written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, obviously based on real events. Sorkin is just he's got his director chops improved on this from Molly's Game, but it just holy shit, he's one of the best screenwriters. There's no way to not sound pretentious about this, so I'll just at least say like the last 25-30 years from his movie work and like The West Wing, all that kind of stuff. But like if you've never seen The Newsroom, if you've never watched anything that he's written or been a part of, it is amazing the volume of written word as a screenwriter that the man can do. And this story, I actually embarrassingly only was really vaguely aware of its occurrence on the surface. I never really knew the particulars about what happened.
Yeah.
This is around the some of the demonstration organizers who were arrested and tried by the federal government because of things that had happened during the Democratic National Convention in 1968 in Chicago. They didn't really know each other. They were all mostly part of different organizing factions and coming from different perspectives, and the motivations of their political drives were different and whatnot. And the cast just knocks it out of the freaking park. It's incredible. Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. I think, like, for me, like, of all the people on screen, I think they steal the show. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in a capacity that is different than we're used to seeing him in, where you kind of have to, I think you're sort of supposed to dislike him, but given the nature of things, you kind of have to empathize that he's kind of just doing like his job as a lawyer. Like it kind of messes with your emotions a bit, because I honestly don't think it had an agenda. I don't think it came with a point of view. I saw it as being pretty objective. Mark Rylance as the sort of collective lawyer for everybody in the group except Yaya's character. It's just very compelling. It's really freaking good stuff. It's again one of those movies that's like a little bit longer. It's on the 2-hour end, but just holy crap! Like, it rolls. It's engaging. It's just really good. Like I said, he's so good as a screenwriter that he knows how to, like, his movies are the stuff that he does is so dominated by dialogue.
Yeah.
But he's such a natural conversationalist writer, and the people that get selected to deliver the stuff that he writes know how to put it together. And, then when he's the director, he can definitely, have more control over the outcome of that. But it's just good.
Yeah, I love Sorkin stuff, especially as a writer. Like, Social Network is one of my favorite movies. The Newsroom, I love that show on HBO. I thought that was really fantastic. What else has he done? He wrote Moneyball, right? Didn't he write Moneyball?
I believe so.
Moneyball was great. The Steve Jobs movie with Fassbender, I thought was really good. This one was also good. I really like this one too. I actually kind of forgot this came out, so I'll be honest, I didn't put it on my list because I kind of forgot it existed over the years we were covering. But yeah, I like this one too a lot. I don't remember, I guess, like, what directorial of him, like, sort of stands out. Like, I don't remember it really doing anything fancy or different from a directorial standpoint, but you're right, just the dialogue heavy stuff. And I know a lot of people, like, love or hate his dialogue. Either they follow it and they're like, oh, this is really good, or if it's like they're just talking too much and no one ever talks like this. Who writes this stuff? Because you don't speak this way in real life. This sounds like it's fake. Like, but I dig it. I think it drives the tension. I think and maybe it's nice that it makes everybody seem smarter. I don't know, but I like the way he writes stuff. I like it. Did anybody else see this? Ian, Mike?
I did not watch this one.
No.
My only comments are fuck Nixon.
Well, yeah.
I can agree with that, but I have not seen the movie.
If anyone's looking for some other Sorkin familiarity, he wrote The Social Network, the Facebook movie with Jesse Eisenberg. A really fantastic movie with Tom Hanks called Charlie Wilson's War. He wrote The
I have not
American
seen that one.
President in like the mid '90s with Michael Douglas
That's a good one.
and Richard Dreyfuss, and he wrote A Few Good Men.
So since this was Sorkin, how many scenes were people walking down hallways talking?
A lot of it is courtroom stuff, so
Yeah.
not as much as you'd think.
Or they're at their
Did he
like,
try and get someone to do it in the courtroom?
yeah, it's not the West Wing walk and talks that used to happen. Yeah, there's nothing like that.
Newsroom did it a lot too.
That's
I
true.
feel
That's
like.
true. Yes,
Yeah.
you are correct. Right. Nothing else for that. We'll move on to my number 6. I'm almost ashamed that this movie hit my number 6. I wanted it to be higher, but then when I started working like at my top movies and just coming down, this is just kind of where it landed. My number 6 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So I like this movie a lot. I think it's fantastic. I think it was different enough for what Marvel has done. I think it's beautifully shot for what the movie is, and the fight choreography is amazing. I want to see more of this character and this director, and I want to see them have more fun with stuff in the MCU and see where these characters go. I am all for this. I love this movie. I think it's worth seeing. We talked about it on the review for the show, or for the movie. I think even if you're new to the MCU, you could probably largely watch this by itself and still be fine. Like, I don't think you need to
Definitely.
go in with 20 movies behind you to get this movie.
You don't need any of them.
Yeah. So
You
if
can
you're
watch this as a solo.
if you're looking
But
for
what
an
if I
entry
don't know what
point,
superheroes are?
it's fine. They teach it to you. They give you enough to go on. It's fine.
What if I don't know what rings are?
They show you rings. They tell you all about the rings. It's fine. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
All
The
geometry's
origin of the
explained.
rings is in this movie.
Yeah, so if you're new to the MCU, you haven't watched anything, you've heard about Shang-Chi, you want to check it out, definitely I would say check it out. Watch it. And then if that spirals you into the other
Sure, there
MCU
were
stuff,
10 rings.
it's better. So you guys get whatever you want to add. Chime in.
This made an honorable mention for me. And this was one of those ones where it was like, man, I think this is a really damn good Marvel movie. Among all the Marvel movies we get these days, this is one of the better ones. And had I not rewatched it, I think it probably would have made my list.
So wait,
I
it
think
bumped down in the rewatch?
Yeah, I think it for me, the what's the term?
It was bad.
No, it's still a very good movie. I guess the
Impact.
not necessarily impact, but the I guess
Preconceived
like the
notions.
effect of a new character, like that myth of the new character that you don't know a lot about, that you learn about in a movie the first time you watch it.
Origin story?
No, I'm saying like just in general, like that
Mystique.
mystique. That is actually the correct word.
Okay.
Of learning about a character for the first time. That mystique of learning about the character for the first time was better on the first watching than on the second and the
Okay.
third and the fourth, because I've watched it several times. And I think it just kind of fell back a little bit for me. Because of the rewatch and losing that mystique.
Okay.
The action sequences, the characters, I still love it all. I want to see more. I'm not saying it's bad. It's on my honorable mentions. You know what I mean? It's still there. It's just outside, you know?
Okay. Ian, I know you didn't get
Um,
this far in your MCU discussion, so you can't chime in, huh?
Oh, I can. So I really thought Kung Fu Hustle did rings better. And that's
There
my-
was inspiration there. You're not wrong. If you watch the two movies, you understand what I'm talking about. Josh, what'd you think of Shang-Chi?
I thought quite highly of it.
So we'll see it later for you.
You will. Yes, I enjoyed it. It did it. I saw it twice in theaters. We just rewatched it within the last 2 weeks. I liked it maybe even a little bit more this last time, having a couple months break in between. yeah, I can talk about my stuff now or hold off till it hits. What do you want?
Up to you. I mean, we're already there. You might as well go for it.
I guess I'll try not to be as like repetitive from the like full review episode we did on it already a couple of months ago, but I think they did something special with it, especially that actor. That is pretty much the, you know, feature movie debut for that actor, and he's the lead, and he's the title character, and you know, with these stories, he's going to have to be around for several more chapters. There was a lot riding on that.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if it's just, I don't want to call it beginner's luck necessarily, but like he was so natural as that. And it probably helps that I had no preconceived notion of him as an actor. So there was no mold for him to break. There was no other character for me to have to forget. You know, he was just, he's Shang-Chi.
Right.
But he was just, like I said, just completely natural. It felt great. I think the chemistry between all the characters that you needed there to be chemistry with just naturally riffed, and it went well. I loved the production design. There was very little about it that I really didn't like or could even critique.
Have you gone back to watch? I know he was in a sitcom that I think is on Netflix now, Kim's Convenience.
I have that. We've added it to the list, and it's probably, you know, we're going to get to it within the next couple of months, but no, we've not watched it yet.
Okay, yeah, it's on my list too. I wanted to see it because I think, like you said, watching him, and he's so likable in the movie that it's like, well, what else he's been in? And that's the one big thing that I think has a couple seasons that it's like, well, okay, I kind of want to see what else he's done. But yeah, I haven't got there yet. It's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for Shang-Chi, or we'll move on to Mike's number 6. Mike's number 6. Go for it, Mike.
Okay, so coming at number 6, we're back to the video game motif for the last time on my list, actually. Ends at number 6. Doesn't make the top half of the list. It's kind of strange. But I told you guys earlier when we had our little test call that there was a movie I rewatched that was my number 1 until the rewatch. This is that movie.
Dropped 5 spots.
Dropped 5 spots on the rewatch, yes. The mystique of watching it the first time in the theater, I had an empty theater. Just me to watch this movie at the Pittsburgh
Pull
Mills.
a Pee-wee?
What'd you say?
I said, did you pull a Pee-wee Herman?
Jesus.
No, unfortunately, I did not. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. It didn't occur to me.
Well, now they know where you go to the movies, so you can't do that there.
That's a good point.
And they have your
Anyways,
picture.
I went and I managed to get this in on maybe its last day in theaters. So it was one of those things where I was sick for a while, and then I would have been there day 1 if I wasn't sick. But I was sick for a while. I got there to the theater on its last day in the theaters. I was alone, and I came out of the theater. I was like, "That's my number 1. That's it right there." I have recently managed to rewatch it as it was just last week available to purchase, from Amazon. As a digital purchase, it was just finally available, and that is Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I thought this was something else.
This movie took, I guess, the shit that Wes Anderson took on the Resident Evil franchise for the last couple decades.
Paul Anderson.
Why did I say Wes Anderson? I don't know. But it took the shit that he took on it for the last couple of decades, and it kind of righted the ship. It took it in a direction that followed the narrative that the games presented that people loved in the first place. And there's a reason why we fell in love with these video games. And the narrative that they had behind them was solid. The atmosphere that these games had, was fantastic. It was great. I loved it. And then you had these movies for so long that were just action movies that had the title Resident Evil. And they didn't even use a main character. They had a character named Alice that they threw in there that was a superhero for God knows what fucking reason.
Well, you're forgetting that she also was married to the director.
No, she was married to
That's
the
a big
director. That's
reason.
true. That's true. She was married to the director. But, man, just, they were so disappointing for so long. And all I've wanted as somebody who has loved these games for decades of my life, we're approaching the third decade. Actually, we're in the third decade. This is 1996 when Resident Evil first came out. And I've been playing them since then. My parents were horrible. They let me have games like that when I was 11.
Oh, I thought you were like 22.
Anyways,
That's all right, everybody. Ian will be graduating from high school this year, so let's all wish him well.
Don't
it's
tell the
true.
cops I'm drinking.
And but it's 3 decades in my life I've been wanting to see these movies brought to film in a correct way, because I love horror as a genre, both in video games and movies, in every aspect. I love it. And seeing what they did with it the first time around was just, you know, if it wasn't with the name Resident Evil, those movies are still kind of shitty.
Do you
But
like any of them?
you know, the first one is okay. The second one is okay. The third one is okay. And then it goes off a fucking cliff.
The second one with Nemesis, or did they say
yeah,
that's
second
the third one? Okay, I stopped watching after that one.
They actually put a tyrant in the third one.
Ooh, look at them.
And then after that, the closest reference we get to the actual games is one of the bosses from Resident Evil 5. The big dude, the Executioner, that has the big giant axe in Resident Evil 5 at the beginning.
Executioner.
He shows up in the fourth movie. That's about it. And then Wesker is there, but he's not like it's not even the same good version of Wesker that the games had for a while. Chris doesn't punch a boulder. None of that shit happens. Doesn't happen. It's bullshit. The point being, they took Resident Evil Raccoon City, takes the opportunity to reset the movie franchise and set us back into the origin story of how all of this came about. And they do it the right way. They do it with a story that's loyal to the games.
I think I've heard that. I've heard that from multiple people. I still haven't seen this one. I kind of would like to. I feel like if it ends up on a streaming service somewhere for free, I'd probably watch it or try to check it out.
I will screen share, watch party it with you, whatever, whenever you want. I own it.
Why are all these people admitting to doing illegal shit on the internet?
That's not illegal for me to share it with him.
It's a DMCA violation. I'll see
No,
you
it's
in
not.
court.
It's the same as me saying, come over to my house and watch it. Same shit. I'm not putting it out there in the public.
Josh, you
Sharing
watched
it with
this one too, right?
I did, and a lot of I agree with a lot of what Mike's saying. I come at it from a different point because I was friends with people who did play these games when they first came out, like especially the first two. And at that age, like I was really into them too. I loved the puzzle aspect of it. It was like the zombie adventure stuff, and like I had never in the late 90s like had never played video games like that, where like that was the gameplay, that was the objective, that's how you progress. That was really cool. After that, like from a gaming perspective, obviously like I tapped out. I didn't follow it in that aspect. I don't like myself apparently, and so I saw every single one of those damn Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies. And he's right. I agree that like the first two are the only ones that I even think are worth watching at all. This like reboot was way better than it had any business to be.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
the direction, the story, just the composition of it. It was good. It knew exactly what it was. It didn't try to be anything more, and it tried to stay fun. It did. It like legit. I thought it was a pretty good zombie flick, as it's just like a
Okay.
standalone kind of assessment. It was good.
Which is why we have fans of the video games have wanted this version of Resident Evil to see the screen for so long, because that's what it is. it's a really good survival zombie story. Just so happens we also get the best ever cinematic use of Jennifer Page's crush as well. If you know Jennifer Page's crush, if you know the song,
yeah,
you will recognize it in the movie, and it's fantastic. The way that Josh, do you remember this from the movie?
I do not.
If it's not Nirvana, Josh doesn't know what it is.
Is that by Imagine Dragons?
They heavily feature 2 songs in the movie. One is Journey, Any Way You Want It, gets featured. For that part,
that's right up Josh's alley too.
I will say from not because of the song necessarily, but from just like a movie composition standpoint, the use of that song was very effective.
Okay.
Exactly. It was really good. You'll enjoy any way you want it in the way they use it, but Jennifer Page's crush just comes out of nowhere because, one, who thinks to use that song? The Journey song gets used Any Way You Want It has been in how many fucking movies? Like, it's used all the time. Crush by Jennifer Page? When's the last time you heard that in a movie?
Probably never, but
exactly.
I'm trying
to
figure out
it is
what that
definitely
song is. Why do I not know what this is?
Just a little crush,
Oh, it is. Oh, that is it. Okay, that's the only thing that was popping in my head. But I'm like, that can't be it. Why would it be that?
Because it doesn't make any sense for the scene that it's in. Just like Any Way You Want It, it's just completely detached from what's going on screen, and it's so fun.
And it's at this point, you're right. It's much more kind of forgotten and obscure.
Yeah, but it just
Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
What the fuck is that?
It's a Beatles song. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, okay.
Maxwell's Silver Hammer is a Beatles song?
Hell yeah, it's on Revolver.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Everyone that wasn't Paul McCartney hated it.
You know what? You can look this one up on YouTube. I'm not singing it more. I'm not being baited into that, Leslie. I don't sing. There's a reason I don't sing. So we're going to stop.
You did start.
Example.
She's just asking you to finish.
Ian,
I don't know any more of it.
You said you did not see this yet, right?
No, but I have this is the highest praise I've heard it given. The people that have seen it.
I
honestly, as a
liked it.
movie, as a cinematic experience, it's okay. As a fan of the video games, it nearly was my favorite movie of the last 2 years.
That's where I've heard more of my criticism was from people that enjoyed the game, so that's why I'm a little surprised.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's a matter of like how much you resented and hated the other movies and how much closer this one gets. It's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. This game combines this movie combines the first 2 games when it makes much more sense to do the first game on its own and combine the second and third game.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, just the fact that it's using stories from the games is a step in the right direction.
Well,
exactly.
I think part of it too is I think at this point, if you wanted to do Resident Evil movies, they're better off just taking the story from 7 and 8 and starting the franchise there. I think 7 especially is a very good horror movie if done by like correctly. Like that's basically sounds like a Blumhouse like easy couple $100 million easy.
I would agree with that, actually. Like seeing 7 and 8 brought to film, which I hope we do. I hope this leads to that. I hope they skip from here. Maybe they do 3. The Nemesis story, just because Nemesis is Nemesis, and there's a reason it's an iconic video game villain, and it's going to get to see screen time.
And Jill,
yeah. And that's Hannah John Kamen now, which she's awesome. So I will definitely be there for that too. But then 4, maybe, do 4 and 5 is like what Leon and Chris are off doing in their own time in a single movie, maybe alongside 3. Maybe mash those together into a shitty movie that the fans still love because it still follows the themes, and then just start with 7 and 8 after that. Fuck 6. Don't do anything with 6. Don't touch that. Leave it to
I
die.
still never played that game.
what about
Let
Code
it burn in
Veronica?
hell. I would watch a solo Code Veronica film. Send Claire off and that would be cool.
All right.
Because they actually touched on that a little bit.
All right, before
sorry,
we get sidetracked again, we are on number 6. We're like 2 hours into this thing.
All right,
so
all right.
It's not my fault.
The last
All right,
comment.
no.
Last comment I will make about this, Ian. If you need any more of a carrot dangled for this, that Four Non Blondes song from your He-Man meme
Hey man, what's up?
is makes a feature as well.
Mhm.
Nice. Is He-Man in it?
Not that I remember.
Didn't they just announce a new casting for He-Man?
Yeah, it's some blonde dude.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but I just
That
saw
tracks.
like, oh yeah, new He-Man.
yeah, I think it's like a
Yes.
live action thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it on the NPR newscast.
All right, so Ian, you're number 6. What do you got?
This isn't on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, that's good.
Gintama, The Very Final, directed by Chizuru Miyawaki, a long-term director of Gintama, who also previously did key animation for Ghost in the Shell, standalone complex, Solid State Society. As the war temporarily calms down and Ito rebuilds, Jintoki finds Shinpachi, who is still unaware of his return on a bridge. However, a fight quickly breaks out between the Yorazuwa and the Tenshin Naruka. Suspicion grows, forcing Jintoki to use what is nearest, a loincloth, to mask his identity. Saved for the time being, Jintoki enters the Yoruza office, but unbeknownst to him, someone else is already waiting there. Meanwhile, Kondo departs Earth to marry Princess Bubble in an attempt to improve the diplomatic relations. But after boarding the Gorilla Amanto mothership, he realizes he doesn't speak their language. Confused, Kondo tries conversing with them, only to inadvertently gain their support. However, someone associated with the princess crashes the ceremony. Will the wedding continue, or has Kondo just been saved from becoming the next gorilla prince? The story finally concludes after 15 years. We finally find out if our fish-eyed hero Jintoki can liberate Japan from Amanto control while preventing Earth from being destroyed. A brilliant end to one of the longest-running core shonen series that has taught us many things over the years, including, I think, the greatest lesson in manga history. Your main character has to be identifiable by their outline alone. Otherwise, it's a shit character. So Gintama obviously is a long-running action series that has a lot of comedy bits built into it that's been in print for, I think, over 20 years. The anime started, like I said, about 15 years ago. And it's basically about this. It started off being about this guy trying to get these aliens out after Japan lost the war to the aliens. And then it kind of devolved into him and his friends doing random bullshit because they work at a place called Odd Jobs. And they did odd jobs like that James Bond villain. So... isn't there a guy named Oddjob?
There is, but I don't
Did
think
they
that's
throw
how it works,
hats?
but continue.
I never
Did
saw
they have
those
bowler
movies.
hats?
Yeah, you admitted to that earlier.
No.
Were they shorter
This
than
is-
everybody else so you couldn't shoot them?
This is like one of my favorite series. I was very intimidated trying to start it because it was at that point, I think, about 200 episodes long, which is a lot, but Naruto's over 1,000, so not that long. So I jumped in and I instantly fell in love with it from the start. And then I got one of my friends in chat to start watching it. And then because it's so long, we couldn't watch it all together or they never would have caught up. So we would randomly rewatch stuff together. And then the last 3-4 years, we've been able to catch up. And this series was actually supposed to end a couple years ago. But the author just said, nah, I'm not done actually. I want to do more. So the anime actually played with it by like setting up the ending, which is the beginning of this film, and then doing a meta break where they called cut and then yelled at the author for fucking over their anime for not giving them the ending they were promised. So it's a very like fun series. They even went back during the time when the author was finishing it to cover episodes they had skipped were purely comedy episodes of no major overbearing plot, kind of like Goku getting his driver's license, but like actually took place in the manga. It wasn't just made up. I don't know if Mike, you knew that. Goku spends a whole episode getting his driver's license with Piccolo. And
I just was just taken aback at the way that you said it, like it's common knowledge.
Everyone knows that episode.
like oh yeah, that episode that we get Goku gets his driver's license. Like everybody, like this doesn't need explanation. We know it.
It's like,
So, like I
right?
said-
the Soup Nazi. Everybody knows the driver's license
Mhm.
episode.
This director, like I said, she has been directing Gintama now for about 8 years. She's really great at it. She brought out, I think, the best of everyone. They even told you, like, at the end how proud this studio was to finally bring this series to a conclusion. And it's just a great samurai flick. I don't recommend jumping in for the movie called The Very Final as your first watch of this series, But if you're only going to watch one thing from this series, I think it's not bad. There is another movie they made a while ago that was just they made a movie version of one of the early story arcs. You could just jump into that if you just look for Gintama. I think it's very fun samurai action with like the quasi. This takes place in like not ancient, but middle age Edo Japan, but there's also robots and aliens. It's a very fun mishmash, and they do a lot of parody of other anime and stuff. And they had one of their openings for the TV show was drawn in MS Paint because they just decided fuck it. And the title cards for every episode is actually drawn by someone in like I forget what now it's called off the top of my head, but like the official Japanese script writing thing, calligraphy,
Okay.
like hand drawn calligraphy for all the title cards, which is
Nice.
just a really nice touch. It's a great thing that you should all watch all 300 episodes of one day.
You're gonna have to send me the title of that movie again because I missed it. When you were rattling.
Gin,
Gin.
like the vodka, like
Yep.
the alcohol.
Yep.
TAMA :
Okay.
colon, then in all caps, the very final.
Very final. Got it.
Nailed it.
It's in the list. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen this one, so I can't add anything to it.
I mean, on the one hand, I feel like one of us should remind that we said like this should be a spoilers-free review and comments of all of our selections. However, like Ian gave us the entire movie.
I thought it was
No,
more
I
anime
skipped a lot.
backstory for to set up the movie.
That was just a setup. Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that was just a setup.
All right, then we're gonna stop there because I can't even handle what the hell might actually.
I think that was more
happen.
like, hey, this happened in the anime show, and then that sets up
Like-
what happens in the movie.
Like, the gorilla marriage might be a spoiler, but it's set up and we just get the outcome of the gorilla marriage in the movie.
Okay.
So when you
yeah.
say gorilla marriage,
It's a large gorilla who is the princess of the gorilla planet.
so this is a GO gorilla, not a GUE.
Geo.
GO. Okay.
Yes, this is like if this is actually just like King Kong.
Megilla. Okay,
Yeah. Gorilla Grodd.
there we go.
Yes, this is a gorilla woman and they all speak gorilla. And that's why
Okay,
you can't
I'm
communicate
just-
with them.
It's all good. I'm just
And they're from a
confirming.
planet of gorillas.
okay.
Totally tracks. Yep.
Yeah, and they fly spaceships.
Just wanted to be clear.
So I got nothing. Anybody else got anything for this one? Nothing? Okay. Sorry, Ian, we're going to leave you hanging and we're going to move on.
I'm ready for it. I got a couple more.
Josh, you're number 6.
Okay, well, after that, my brain is broken a little bit, and thank God this is one we already talked about, so I don't have to say many words. And this will bring us to the end of our halfway point. My number 6 is Suicide Squad. It was
Okay.
big, zany, funny, weird, violent, amazing. Still, it was good.
What is this? Some kind of quasi sequel reboot?
It feels like like a long time ago that was said. It's weird.
Yeah, Will Smith said it during that YouTube rewind.
Oh shit, yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Brian. I'm popping in one more time. I just wanted to say again, thank you for listening. This is where we're going to end part 1 of what ended up being a 4.5-hour live show on Twitch. So I'm cutting this into 2 parts. I probably could have done more parts, but I think 2 is probably enough, just so we're not spreading it out over 4 weeks or whatever for the episode to get through. So we'll give you 2 parts, probably about 2 hours, 2.5 for some of them. But yeah, I just, again, thank you for listening, for checking the podcast out whenever you guys get a chance to. We've made it to 250 episodes. It's longer than I ever thought we'd be able to do this. So again, just thank you. But that's all I got. You can tell I'm rambling because I don't have anything scripted for this part. But just want to let you know, this is where we're going to end. It stops abruptly once we get to our number 5s. So tune in. Hopefully next week I will have the second half edited. We'll jump right into our 5th and then work our way up to number 1. At that point, we realized, we've gone way, way over what we wanted to as far as time. So the end of the episode is kind of like speed round for a lot of stuff, but I'll save that for when you guys finally get there. Again, if you would like to watch the entire live show, I have saved it on my Twitch channel, so you can check us out at Jedi Bry Guy on Twitch. I'll go through the normal stuff. If you want to like and subscribe, follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Stitcher, any of that stuff, we are there. Hit us up on Facebook, search Bry Guy and Super Friends, or search Bry Guy and His Super Friends. Facebook.com/Bry Guy Super Friends. See, this is what happens when I'm not going off my normal script. I start misremembering what I'm trying to say here. So we're on Facebook. All the links and stuff are there. You can hit us up on Twitter at BG Super Friends. All the links for the past couple episodes and stuff will be there. And that's probably about it. I threw out the Twitch channel, so you can check that out if you get a second, or if you want to come back and watch the whole 4.5 hour live show or chip away at that is there. So yeah, that's where we're going to end part 1. On behalf of myself, Josh, Ian, Mike, and Andy wasn't there, but on behalf of Andy as well, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time for part 2.